Has called a board retreat to review and discuss various topics as outlined on the agenda. The board will not take any action and no public input will be taken during the board retreat. I'd like to call to order the board retreat at Mount Hood Community College of Education. Welcome to everyone, and we have our agenda. I think, does everybody have an agenda for the retreat?
Yes.
I'm considering this to be pretty informal, so I'm not going to be conducting a formal meeting here. So I just want everybody to feel free to talk. This is our retreat, and this is the place where that can happen. So that's right. Yeah. And yeah, we got our lunch around the lunch table. Yes, I do have it. Thank you. I just asked you. Okay, so we're gonna do, Doctor is here with us and wants to hear about our, I think, and our board engagement, our board student engagement, recap that we had. I know some of us went over it the other night at the board meeting, but I think, we can go over that again, just so we kind of know what the students said, what they're thinking, and, you know, and, when we are able to meet with them again, well, it was, from my perspective, it was a wonderful, I thought the format was good, where we were at tables, and I guess we moved around, but sometimes the students moved with us, but it worked out fine. So, yeah, so did you want to say anything, Doctor, about that, or?
First of all, thank you for allowing me to come.
Oh, sure.
Basically, I think, in my own opinion, I just appreciate that the president and the board of education, you guys have created this time to always come and engage with the students. I think we're here first to serve them, and then having the opportunity to have a personal dialogue with you guys is very, very important. I felt like when, you know, when they have an issue and they bring it to me, when I bring it up, it's not as powerful as when the students are able to directly share that. And to have that is very important. I think I was sharing this information with somebody, I don't know who that was. Other community college different institutions, the students doesn't have the opportunity that they have. And for them to come and talk with you guys directly is very, very important. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that, and I want to invite you to continue to do that. One of the things that the students want to do is they want to start doing a letter of memorandum with the president, and what they want to do is telling the president what their goals are, and also seeing what the president goals are so that they can work together in achieving them.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually come here and share with the board here about their goals, and
Right.
at the end of the year they come and report us. So that is great. But I was just wanting to know from, I think it was last year or last fall, when we had the, you know, the first event, and how the format went, and then this time how we did it. If there's any feedback what you're hearing from the students, if there's something on my level that I need to maybe be aware of, and how we can work together and making it more pleasurable for the student experience. I know our next one is scheduled for May 7th. Yes. And I just wanted to make sure I get feedback from the students, and also what you guys think about the last one I read, and we can progress that we continue.
Great. Well, I think we all love meeting with the students, and I think the forum was better this year. I think the way it was set up, and I think we heard a lot more from the students about the things they love about here, what the challenges are for them here, and so so we can share those with you if you'd like to hear that, Doctor. So, who would like to go first about what they heard from the students? Do you want to go, Marie? I know we talked about it a little last night.
It was mostly things around campus. About the, let's see. Transportation around campus, like little scooters or bikes or something, one way to get from one end to the other. Would be good. That was brought up, as a suggestion. Talking about the food areas closed at 2, bathrooms closed at 5, but then there was a correction. Someone said that that's not necessarily true. The computer tech, they all kind of were talking about, you know, when the systems go down on the weekends or in the evenings, it'd be nice if somebody from the IT department could be like on call, or someone they could call to get things back up again, so they could, they would do online learning. What that was about. Talked about, the parking lot by the gym has the steps that are broken and no handrails. They'd like to see more in-person classes, because online is for everybody. And then talked about, wishing there were more foreign language classes, because now there's only 3. They also understand that the demand has to be there, you know, at the teachers. And one gal pointed out that, you know, social science and liberal arts, if they don't get federal funding, that when the demand goes down, those go away with the cosmetology, I guess, it's one of the systems in the future. So, something that's going to be on hold. That's what it's really like.
Okay, Annette, you want to share?
Sure. All I heard was positive, and I did really want to change one thing. What would it be? Question. But it was interesting. The question of student involvement actually came up, and we had a couple of students that felt like there was no point in voting on campus, there was no point in voting locally, there was no point in voting on a federal level, because no one person could vote. So why even pay attention? Which I thought was sad to hear from a college student. You know, when I remember being very young and idealistic, and now I'm aged and idealistic. Interesting things like, is there one way we could have like a common break period for everybody in the middle of the day, like, you know, an hour or two where nothing on campus except downtime, was something that one student brought up. I did hear from people that said, oh, well, I take classes in the evening, and there's no place for me on campus to buy food, no place for me to go and eat my dinner on campus if I brought food. And I do remember when I went to night classes, there was no food available, but I remember, you know, I packed my dinner, but the cafeteria was open, so I could at least go in there and eat the food that I brought. And then the conversation about, and I mentioned this the other night, seat time versus learning time. How many hours does it really take sitting in a classroom to learn this stuff? You know, it's like, should we be, you know, go more on, you know, because you can spend a lot of time in a seat and never learn it, and you can spend a little time in a seat and learn it inside out. And that we put more emphasis on sitting there than we do in the actual knowledge, is what he was feeling. And he's a freshman. I think he was from St. Helens. And, you know, I said that same thing in grades K through 12 all the time. We put the emphasis on seat time, not on the actual learning sometimes. You know, is there a way to, like, test out and credits and that sort of thing is what he brought up. And there were lots of head nods on that one. And then lastly, I think the most important thing is that I asked every student group this, is like, do you feel safe on campus? And everybody did. And people said, too, that they felt supported and they felt cared about. And a lot of those comments came, like, without my even asking, but yeah, it's a good place, and people, like, I'm valued here, and I feel safe here, and I feel like the instructors actually, like, do care about me.
And one of the questions we asked them was, do you feel like you're getting the education you need to? for your future, all of them said absolutely, felt really good about their education.
Okay, Diane, do you wanna?
I missed it.
Oh, you missed it, I'm sorry, yeah. Andrew, you had, I know.
I ended up with, I think you saw a doctor, I ended up with international students, and so, we spent more time getting to know, just chatting more casually, but, the questions that I think, a couple things that they raised, I think that rise to report out worthy is, they were asking about work study and the opportunity for work study, and I was like, well, because they're inhibited because of their visa status as students, which I said, well, that's not something like we control, but, that felt like a barrier. I'm sure you know about this just in dealing with students more generally every day. It's like I think they just see that as a barrier. So they were just sharing that with me and talking through what their experiences were. And then I happened to be with all students who were trying to get into nursing programs, so they're doing prereqs. So that just categorically was interesting with both groups. And then we were talking about their moms and how frequent they call their moms. Or how frequent their moms call them, rather. So anyhow, that was probably the work study thing was the biggest thing around, like, frustration they experienced.
So my first question was, besides what are you studying, was what's most beneficial to you? And they said the financial aid, Oregon Promise, the Basic Needs Hub, they thought was they really liked the Basic Needs Hub and the services that are provided there for them. They liked Barney's Pantry, the TriMet passes, and we talked about transportation a little bit with the students, because we know transportation is always a bit of a challenge out here for our students. And one young man comes from, well, he was an international student as well, but I think it was Tualatin. He took 4 buses to get here to school. I said, that's wonderful dedication. We talked about Abigail Court, the housing, and they liked that. Again, I think that what came up in our conversations too for challenges was the food that's here on campus, the hours it's open. Some of my students felt the pricing was a little bit expensive for what was here. Again, I heard the bathrooms are locked at 5, so I don't know, and last night we heard there's some that are open later, so I don't know if it's some or all, or I don't know, but that did come up in my conversation too with the kids. They really liked the student union because it was a space where they all could gather, which I think is something we've been talking about too, and certainly when the bond passes, there'll be more community spaces on campus, but they seem to really like that a lot and felt they had met a lot of the other students from accessing the student union. So, yeah, I think that's kind of where we got, but the students I had at my table really enjoyed it. I mean, they enjoyed sharing the, some were international and some were not. And so it was kind of a nice cross-section of people, of students that I talked to. Want to add anything, Lisa?
Doctor, I was curious what you thought of it, and then I couldn't get a sense with the students I talked to, like, if they were just there because there was some food, or if they, like, wanted to be there, or it was like, doctor was asking us, they didn't say anything, but I just was curious, like, when you're talking with students, like, I think it is a good thing for us to do, but how much do they want to connect with us?
Yeah. Thank you, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. So with my experience, especially in urban college locations, like for example, like in the city, right? huge. And so there's a lot of things going on. And we have a lot of other students who are coming from different backgrounds. So with what we have learned, especially with our student population here, is that they want us to go to that. We've tried that. So for example, we had events in the Vista Dining, and they don't want to go back there. They will just come and love the student meeting. And so the library, the student union, that is their hangout place. That's where they come for their hangout. And so we have pivot those ideas where we take the event back to them. Or when we need information from them, so when we are conducting survey, or when we want to talk to them about an idea, we have to go to where they are at. And so this time, the reason why we decided to do it where we do the moving is that we kind of steal the idea from the legislative breakfast, right? When the legislators were the one moving and the students stayed, it was a way for the students to stay at one place. But when we ask them to move, they will not move. And when we ask them to move, they move and they leave. Right? And I don't know why they're not just.
And my people never change.
Yeah, I don't want to go to someone else, I don't want to move. And so, I think it went well, but there can be things to do that, and that's why I came to listen to what they said, and then that way it can help us next time how we do it. And also, it depends on the time of the day, right, on the times of the year. During this time, a lot of students, like, don't want to come out to watch sports. And so when they stay in one place, they will not come. And so the food idea, as I'm listening, it looks like everybody talked about students saying there's no food and there's one food, right? And so that's why we usually provide the lunch as a supplement or just like a something for them to come. And so that's why when you ask that question, like some of them might say, like, Doctor told them, my students definitely, yeah, I told them, I said, I want you to come out and be a part of it because some of the issues that they mentioned to you, that's mentioned to me, right? And I have talked to John about it. But the reality is that some of them are not necessarily like you guys' responsibility. Some of them are not necessarily responsibility. Some of them are, not the student responsibility back at a moving like area, like multiple stakeholders coming together to have that. So about that comment that you asked, I think we could do better. Our winter term is always hit and miss. So I was impressed when we did the question of how many students coming there. We didn't have a lot of students who came for the Tuesday. But the engagement of Tuesday was a little bit lower. And sometimes different classes, right? Like the reason why they made that comment on, can we have a common downtown where everyone comes? Teachers, faculty, staff come together. That is the same thing, right? Some of them have to leave when they have classes. Yeah. And they walk from there to the other end, or wherever they're going to meet that 15 minutes time, right? So I would say, yes, for my students, yes, I asked them, my friends said, you need to stay for this. Some other students, they want to sit and listen, but they don't want to be disturbed. So when we have events or something that we can go to the other side, they're listening, but they're not doing anything. They just don't want to come and engage. So that's what we learn about the students, what their needs are and how to support. In terms of some of these things that they mentioned, so for example, the food on campus, it's not a new story, right? No. So right now, this stage here, we've seen the improvement on rates, right? Because if you go to the student union and other places, we have the new company that came in, and the students have talked to me about this rate. Like, you have more options and stuff like that. The student lounge, we created to remove it used to be the silence room for the other part for review, right? So we cleaned that out and named it student lounge. So what I've heard lately, and this is why I said this year, is that we don't want to it's out and the students saying you are doing this and where is it, right? But towards the beginning of March, thereabout or the middle, we're going to have a switch there with pre-packaged food where students can swipe their card, open what they want, and then put it back. So that is what in the workshop And with Bunny Country, it's kind of very tricky because if we promise students that we're gonna have it there, and nobody is there to clean up or supply it, then we get into trouble, right? But with students, even where we are there, student will come and one student will take like 8 items and put in the bag, and they walk away. And so, having that kiosk style where students are able to buy free packets for lunch or dinner, that free section is mostly food, right? So we have that in the work, so we are always working, it's just that the students don't know, and we are in that process of working. But yeah, the lounge is open, they can go out there. I've seen some of the students that I work with that are there in the evening. And I actually, one time, over time, had to eat text in the evening, like 9 o'clock. It's like, look, I'm leaving the lounge area now, and this is the issue. Like, what are you doing out there? Some of it was more like public safety. And so I give them some certain numbers for academic and stuff like that. And then the other ones that they have mentioned about, you know, the city and stuff like that, of course, we don't have control of that. It's a law that is not what managers. I don't know what city we have. But what we've been working on is we're using student aid to help them and give them projects to work on. So we are working on that as well, and there's some conversation that's going on about giving students aid to work for, where if students are applying, then they can be able to get it instead of having it on the path. So we are having those discussions. In terms of the other projects, like from one point, the other in terms of transportation, I teach an ED class, and one of it is you have to pick a project and work on it, and that's how the Bunny Garden came about. That's how the security and the student unit had a part about students were able to work with Linda and the security programs. One of the things that the security they're working on is having a safe alert so that when they're walking in the parking lot or they're going some places and if something is happening, they can just push it on the phone to alert public safety, because if the student is in the bathroom and something is happening, they can't really call. Right? Because they're like, oh, and then they can text, and the thing is, where you from and all that, right? So they're looking into an option that maybe it can be an app that will go with Brave, so that when they are having issues, they can just text or on that app, so that they will, they will tell them which room they are in, so that they can come in. Because they came up with examples of what after hours that the student was in bathroom, and there was a comment that was making, somebody made a comment, and the student was in the bathroom, like, okay, now I'm trapped, what do I do? They can't call, they can't text, and so they were texting their friends, saying this is what is happening. But if that way, that was what they can do so that public safety can come. So there are those ideas in discussion with the community, and we're going to take that issue to learn that and see what, and public safety and see what we can do.
We have some of that for realtors, like if it's a safety thing too, so if you feel like you're in danger, you can just hit something on your phone and it automatically goes to the people that you put in there to contact in the home, so that they can find you, they know who you are. And the person you're with, that you're feeling endangered by, doesn't even know.
So these comments are really great that I'm hearing from you guys, and I just want to know, sometimes I wonder, like, they come and complain, but I wonder what you guys are thinking, because we are working on it, right? Just that maybe you guys will not know that we are working on it.
So we opened the door because we had the questions to ask, and so once they started talking, it just kind of one thing led to another. And I said, you know, we're here to listen and this and that, and some of the things might be covered in the bond, we don't know, but, you know, at least they felt like we were listening.
Right.
And that was the idea, to get them to open up.
Yeah.
And Doctor, do you have any idea how we could get feedback from the students that are only on campus in the evening? I mean, I'm thinking about those folks who are working full-time. They're here after 5. They're taking like the 6 to 9 classes, those kind of things.
Are you asking like in the same format that, you know, we did in the afternoon? Or were you talking about
what is the format? How could we how could we get that
Yeah.
for, because, I mean, most of our students are part-time. You know, what I noticed, at the town hall was that most of them were younger, and the ones I talked to, for the most part, were not that many years out of high school. But we know that the plurality of our students are 21 and over. I mean, majority of our students are 21 and over. Yeah. So how do we find out how they're feeling about things? I don't know what that answer is, so I'm wondering if you do.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and it's very tricky for the evening. We have the same issue. Students are asking us, like, I'm online, and I am a English student, what do I do? Right? So that's why some of our big try to do that in the evening.
Okay.
So that they can come. But I think one way is we can also do like another town hall, but the thing is, but the thing that I'm gonna make you guys be aware is, it might not turn out the way it turns out in the evening time in the afternoon, because students will say that, but when you, by the opportunity for them, maybe you will come, and as long as you guys know that, you know, you get 5, 10, that's still fine.
Right.
We can be able to do that, because sometimes they will complain, like, we get agreement for them, and then they sometimes like, well, I just came from work and I finished my class and I have to go home to my children.
Yeah.
Or to
Yeah.
my family, and it's like, well.
Yeah, maybe it's a completely different format, a completely different approach, an online thing or whatever, but, you know, because somebody might be here and they're only here for classes Tuesday and Thursday nights, you hold something on Wednesday, but, yeah. Yeah, I said, I don't know what would work, and like you said, most people are there like, well, I'm already working full-time, and now I'm taking, you know, these credits, and I don't have time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did want to comment one thing on the credit.
Uh-huh.
So just for all of your knowledge, seat time is tied to what they call the Carnegie unit, which is how we standardize credits across the country. And so for every like lecture class, you have to meet 1 hour a week, and there's a calculation, right, to get the 1 credit. If it's a lab class, there's a different ratio. If it's an internship, it's like 3 to 1. So we don't have flexibility in that, because we have to follow those in order to have our credits be standardized across.
Okay.
What about opening it up and giving them the option to send comments in or send letters in? You know, if we can't be there, and then we would just read their letters, you know, so that at least everybody has a voice, even if you can't be there.
Right.
To have an opportunity for their comments in the board.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be something we would look at, so at least the opportunity is there for their voice if they choose not to participate, then they, but,
If you talk about the town halls coming up, or if you can't be there, send your comments or give them ideas.
yeah, yeah.
One more comment, so about the civic involvement, that's another tricky area. So when I remember when I started here in 2018, we would always have about 300 students with the registration conducted. And it was great, but that has shifted for 2 reasons. One is in Oregon here with the practice of if you get a driver license, medically like physical, and that kind of brought that down a little bit, right? But we still do like last year we have, this fall when we did it, that we sent in 56, and right now I have 16 in my office that I need to deliver, right? So students do engage in that. In terms of service projects, so when we have our Investing Day event, we open up facilities like Dr. Carey took, and then we ask students to join them. And then we also went to all elementary school. Last month we did the household, right? So we have so many options that students can also have the civic engagement where we ask students to go to communities, have their stories, organization, and volunteer, and then they can come back and if they get 2 hours or more, then we give them a certificate, and then they'll be recognized for graduation and stuff like that. We have so many people apply, but to go do the work is a problem. And when we ask, they say, hey, I have a job, I have a family, and so hard work, do that, right? We have their legislative breakfast, right? Which
Mhm.
is invited, and surprisingly enough, was a lot of people.
Mhm.
who attended,
Mhm.
right? And then, last Monday, we had a former, representative, and she came and did civic engagement about how to write testimony and how to communicate with your
Oh, great.
well, and we have 37 people came, right? So those little things are happening, and so we have that opportunity for them to get engaged. Next week, the board, the bond, the student bond thing, we ask them to come so that they can learn and maybe be the ambassador for this as well, because they need to tell their parents that, hey, mom, dad, I need this kind of service at the college, so maybe you might not have something. So we do those things, it's just that sometimes, students, maybe few of them, we just have that, experience with the national election, right? Like, they want to vote, but who they voted for didn't win. And so that kind of feel like, oh, my vote doesn't matter, right?
Mhm.
But every time we do have that education to say, your vote matters. Even if your candidate doesn't win, but at least you exercise this right.
Mhm.
You know, and so we do have that going on, and then next month, we creating a form and we are sending out to all students so that they can, we are planning to take 10 students to go back to OCPA and run with it, right?
Oh.
So that
Good.
is going to go to all students, not just A's and B's and stuff like that, but it's getting to those right to just have a class, have a job. So, we don't have those things going on, but we can always find another way to make sure that they can engage with the community and as well as other opportunities that, I just wanted to mention that we do
Yeah.
have those opportunities that some students are not able to, or whatever.
And it prompted a really nice discussion about, because I mentioned how some people like only vote when there's a presidential election. And then we talked about how, these off-cycle ones, the city councils, the school board, the community college board, and actually people go, oh yeah, those are the ones that make a difference in our life here. Like, so we should always vote no. Yes.
Yeah. Great. Well, one young man that was at my table, in fact, he followed me to the next table, but he was very excited about this opportunity. He was like, this is the best day. I got to talk to the Board of Education. I got to meet the president of the college. This is just a good day. So anyway, yeah, he was very excited and looking for ways to get more involved with the students and, yeah, so. Anyway.
So some of these things, the way we did it was good. Because sometimes when we say meeting board of education or even college president, some of them are intimidated.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go or something like that. But one of the things that I observed is that we have events that are well attended, like we were talking about the Happy event. We have 230 people came. And then in March, we are going to have another like 12 panel, and we will provide packets and all these things. And we have a lot of students, like 254. Some of those I'm wondering if it would be helpful for me to share so that in case you guys come and you want to drop in, look at the kind that you don't necessarily have to come and be like a structure of, okay, this is what we're going to do, but popping in where we have high academic events so that you can just casually just walk around, talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Tracy, we're running a little bit behind, so, you have,
That's all I wanted to know.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Yeah,
You guys have a good weekend.
thank
you.
you. Okay. Hi, Tracy. Okay, we are on the, AR 2411 and SOP feedback. So that's you.
so in your packets, first, let's take 24-111. This is an administrative regulation, and just for context, President's Cabinet is the body that approves administrative regulations because they're more operational. But because this one is related to the board policy process as well, I'm bringing it to you today for input. I will share that this has been through the council process. There is support for it. They had one suggested addition to it, which was federally mandated changes. But if, does anyone need a minute to read over it? And just to kind of summarize, this is, for example, this most recent round of updates we got from the board policy from OCPA. I would say all but 3 of them were technical edits, right? It was adding a new Oregon state law. It was adding the name of a particular policy. So it was nothing that changed the substance. And so we wanted to adopt something that in those cases, we don't have to take everyone's time, right, to run it through the campus process, run it through the board process. We will still notify you.
Okay.
And show kind of how we've planned it with our current process where everyone gets a list of the policies that are like coming for first reading. We'd also share with you, here's a list of the technical edits. And what the edit was.
Yeah.
And likewise, the councils will also receive anytime we do a technical edit, they will get the ability to look at it. And if they have concerns, they can pull it and we'll put it into the full process.
Okay, any questions on this?
Is this on our March agenda?
No, because you guys don't approve.
We don't approve
No,
it. This is information.
This is if you have any feedback for me to take to President's Cabinet.
Okay.
Which is the body that approves it. It's a little.
Okay. Does anybody have any feedback for Lisa? No? Okay, we're good.
The second one, and this is the first kind of SOP we've done, but we had some conversation earlier this year around process anytime something that's coming to the board that's of substance, that we do a first reading and a second reading. And so this just kind of memorializes the process that will go into our standard operating procedures so that then everyone knows when things are brought before it. Now, there is, one caveat of this is every month you get a consent agenda, which we don't do first reading, second readings on. So consent agendas would stay the same, you still have the ability to pull them off, but anything like policies, budget, program approvals would follow, anything where you need to make a decision.
This is helpful, thank you. And my only thought is just, I don't know if it's helpful for staff or folks to know, like, if it's like an emergency item, like, if that makes sense to add, but that's the only thought.
Oh, okay.
You know, just that there is a
Right.
pathway if it meets certain
Yeah.
requirements or criteria, but, yeah, thank you, this is great.
I think here we've got the board may, and maybe it's changed, they opt to waive the second reading, expedite the process, and waive the policy type compliance related.
Oh,
But do you want me to add emergency
well,
to that, or-
that's just how it's framed at like cities or
Okay.
like the
Yeah.
county, so it's just kind of nomenclature, I guess,
Okay.
more so, but.
Okay, any questions, discussion on that one?
Good, we'll kind of take draft, add that language, and then Roxanne and I will have that in our kind of thing, and we can also post it on the share.
Okay.
And we're
On,
back on track.
on to the current federal climate.
Yes. So part of this today was just to make some space. 4 of you were in DC and had the opportunity to hear, the ACCT presentation, and at that point, it was around the executive orders, so that was kind of round one. And then we all got the Dear Colleague letter last Friday, which is in your packets, and I sent you all. And was anyone able to attend the ACCT webinar on Wednesday? Okay. If you're interested, it's on your ACCT Connect, and they did a really good presentation specifically of the Dear Colleague letter, around what it is, but also what it is. And it was the same group that we've heard, group of attorneys that we've heard do the executive orders. And I would say a lot of what they said sounded the same, right? Be aware, figure out your risk, but anyway. So, I would encourage you, if you, and I think the webinar was the full hour question and answer, but they also do have a PowerPoint presentation. And I'll see if I can get that downloaded and sent to you. And we can send that out so you guys can see.
Okay. What is it, the title of the webinar?
I think it said something like, Dear Colleague letter, because that's what we all receive from Department of Education. I think when I was on there earlier today, it's kind of, if you go to the public policy and advocacy tab, it's like the first, entry there. Anyway, and so just wanted to start, hear from each of you what your kind of takeaway was last week, and if there's questions you have, thoughts you have, in response to the lawyer presentation. So we all kind of.
The one that was not recorded and they didn't give advice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, that's good.
I mean, everything they said made sense. It felt quite logical, and I personally wasn't surprised by anything they said. They were very much like lawyers, so I didn't, it was like entertaining, but I didn't get a lot out of it. It's like tangible things that we do or don't do, except seek legal guidance from our attorney. That was just my sense. It was helpful, but for context, but really didn't have a lot of content.
And so they were talking about being prepared. So if this comes down, you've got to be prepared, you know where you stand and how you're going to reorganize everything. I mean, I don't want to call it a scare tactic, but it kind of sounded like that in a sense, you know. But the unknown is scary. So, but there's no, well, they did say there was a guideline that you could use from when they had already started it, wasn't there? And they reference, like you can use our template. I thought we talked about that a little bit, didn't they? For if you were to get an audit, you could use our template as a guide, of some sort. I remember them talking about that because I thought, well, how is anybody gonna know what to redo exactly because they don't know what's coming exactly? So they did reference some sort of I thought they called it a template.
Yeah, I think they have a template for OCR complaints.
Or maybe that's it.
But I'll go back and take a look.
Yeah, it was, because they couldn't give advice that there's these, for the right reasons. We're trying to.
Oh, I'm just looking through my notes, that's all. No, I was just looking through this, and it's like, yeah.
So So
It's-
one thing that they had talked about, is, Tracy's gonna help us with, you may recall they talked a lot about, they kind of put it back on us, and your institution needs to evaluate your tolerance for risk. Tolerance for risk. And thought it might be helpful, right, we're not gonna come away with any decisions today, but for us to have that conversation around, we have a strategic plan and values that may be in conflict, and where are we gonna land? Or what should we be thinking about? And I'm not gonna say any more, Tracy, because I think you're gonna kind of lead us through some of this conversation.
Well, I think Jennifer is supposed to talk about the
Yeah.
potential impact of revocation of federal funding
Yeah.
first. And
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This goes first. I think we should.
Because part of what I remember too is they talked about is you may have state laws that require you to do things that are the opposite of what the federal government is saying. And that's where we sit in Oregon. Our state government says the opposite of the feds. So, yeah, it's,
Like, whose authority are you taking from the meeting with respect to, for example, pulling out that?
First, I want to say that a Dear Colleague letter is guidance. It's guidance that points to the direction of where investigation from OCR might go. There is a due process in OCR investigation as well. But we are beholden to the law of Oregon, and those are laws that are already enacted that we are currently beholden to. And this is not a law, and I think we have to remember that.
Yeah, they did say that, I remember.
mhm.
These are not laws. Yeah.
And then, I remember one thing Shatoya talked about when they changed the name of the DEI committee at ACCT, is they had people in that room that said, I cannot participate in this under the laws of my state unless the name of this, as long as the name is what it is. And that was their discussion and how they landed on still doing the work, but with a name that they felt addressed it without getting them in legal trouble, and they weren't, at the same time, weren't selling out. That's the thing to me, being true to your values, adhering with Oregon's laws, not risking your fundings, and at the same time, not selling out.
So I brought you hard copies of my presentation, because there's numbers on it, and I know, I want you to remember the numbers.
You love them.
I love numbers, not just my favorite friend. So this is just a quick, big picture overview of where we are, with federal funding, and this is last year's information, so it's audited.
AI didn't make this presentation.
Okay, so first, total resources. Looking at all of the money that we receive as a college, so not just general fund, but college-wide, our largest, source of funding is state support at 28%. But right behind that is, federal grant at 21%. So it is a huge part of our, funding, $30 million, in, federal grants that we received last year. How we got those, what do we do with it, the $30 million that we received? So this is an interesting way to look at what might not be done if we didn't have federal dollars. 47% went to financial aid. So $14 million that we got in from the feds that went to students, and grants and loans and FDOD and that type of expenditure. Personnel costs were the second largest, chunk at 33%, or nearly $10 million. So there's a lot of people involved, and I'm going to show you just where those people are. We have 525 individuals that are funded, at least in part, by federal law. Our Head Start program is the largest group with 212 federally funded employees. Our next largest group is federal work study students, 189 of those. Part-time hourly faculty, part-time faculty and tutors. So 3 different groups of people, 70 employees there. A lot of those are in the ABE, GED, instructional area. Management and confidential staff, 34 employees, and 20 classified employees. So pretty significant number of employees, headcount-wise, of people whose lives would be impacted if we didn't have federal funding. And the funding comes primarily from the U.S. Department of Education, probably not a surprise, 17.3 million, or 57%. They're followed up by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which has our Head Start program, and there's some other smaller programs there, but those are like the 2 biggest, the Student Financial Aid and our Head Start and Child Care Resource and Referral that comes out of Health and Human Services. So you can see there's a few other, smaller grants that trickle through. Most of the other grants are competitive, so there are grants that we apply for and get awarded for a 3 or 5 year period. For example, like TRIO, we've had TRIO for decades, but we still have to competitively apply for it. Well, we have to competitively apply for Head Start to be, actually. So, this is a bigger chunk, but the student financial services, or student financial aid is really the only chunk that is, like, if a student's eligible, then they get that money, the Pell Grants, and then we get an appropriation for work study and supplemental educational aid. Any questions?
Not so far.
Off the table.
Yes.
And our total workforce is around 1,500, right?
Our total FTE, so Jamie actually went through and counted individuals. Right, because we want to, if we're losing people, we want to talk about lives impacted. Our total FTE is about 1,500, but that takes 3 people that work a third and makes them count as one. So we have a lot more heads than that, but our FTE is about. Okay. So,
I really wanted this to be more of a conversation, and really talking about that organizational risk tolerance. Will we stand in the gap for the communities that we are currently serving and say practices that we currently are doing are legally defensible under the current civil rights law? We are not in any way at Mount Hood Community College using race-conscious or race-based decisions to provide a service to someone or deny a service. In the student basic needs space, for example, we don't say, what race are you before you can access the food pantry? We don't ask students, what race are you before they can access advising, right? We're not doing that in any way at this college. And that was the premise of FFSA, that students were fair admission, because some of the Ivy League and highly selective universities were using race-based decisions, saying, we want a quota of Black students. If you are a Black student, we're going to allow you in based on these criteria, and your race is going to be considered in that decision. Mount Hood is, and always has been, an open access institution. We do not grant admissions based on anything beyond students applying to Mount Hood Community College. We are absolutely looking at outcomes based on race, but that is also legally defensible. We want to make sure that the education that we're providing to our community and students is being delivered equitably, and that the outcomes are equitably measured, right? And so we do disaggregate that race. We also have some specifications within the strategic plan around hiring and retaining staff and faculty of color, also legally defensible. We are not making hiring decisions based on race, but we are putting some effort into recruiting and retaining folks of color for the purpose of having our institutional workforce match the students and community services legally accessible. We're also recruiting for equity and trying to make sure that students of all types in our community see themselves as not just community college students, also legally accessible. So the question is, right, one, what is the intent of this? And I think you might have put it on the nail, right? This is about creating a chilling impact on diversity, equity, and inclusion to scare folks into stopping or diminishing what they're doing without the actual legal or authority that is provided by the President of the United States and his. I will also note that this came out on the 14th of February, and the number 14 is significant. So that same day, Donald Trump tweeted a tweet, and he said that no actions are illegal if a person is saving their country. And in response to that, a quote tweet, which means there's a tweet and then a quote over it, Elon Musk tweeted 14 flags.
At 1414.
At 1414. The significance of the number 14 is it is the most recognized white supremacist kind of advancement of an ideology called the 14 words. And the 14 words is, we must preserve America for white children for the success of our nation. Basically, that is the gist of it, right? And so we are facing a white supremacist backlash, and we get a choice of how we show up in that, because this is where we are.
I've never heard that in my life.
Okay.
Really?
I don't know if you can help with people, but.
Lots of books about him.
I've
Lots of
never
books about
heard
it.
that.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard that.
This last year, I've learned a lot about
But I
it.
just learned what the marijuana thing was. There's a couple numbers that refer to marijuana. I know no relation, but that's something else that's been around for a long time. I never heard that.
I encourage you to look it up. It is very prominent.
You think that would be a dumb thing for them to do?
No, not really.
Most people don't know.
It's a message that the vast majority would not get. But
Yeah.
people
14.
truly believe.
Yeah. That just seems like a stupid, even to just take the chance of doing that and coming across that way to anybody. That would just be a really dumb move by it.
So you haven't seen the Steve Bannon Nazi salute that was done yesterday, then?
Oh,
The
now see,
PAC convention.
I want to know this.
It's like,
is that the same place the chainsaw came out?
oh,
Yes,
Elon Musk?
chainsaw to democracy.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
that's,
it was the chainsaw to bureaucracy.
Steve Bannon did a boom, boom, boom with one hand and then up, just like Elon Musk,
Oh, boy.
and calling on Trump to be president for life.
Yes.
And the vice president even with the white supremacists in Germany.
Yeah, meeting with all those white supremacist groups, the neo-Nazi groups in Europe. Vance just did that, what, last week?
In Germany.
Yeah.
So
It's on the news.
14 words.
Yeah, I know, but I think that depends on what channel you're looking at too.
Yeah.
I'll just read from this. The 14 words is reference to the most popular white supremacist slogan in the world. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. The slogan was coined by David Lane, a member of the white supremacist organization known as The Order. Lane died as president in 2007. This term reflects the primary white supremacist view in the late 20th and 21st centuries that unless immediate action is taken, the white race is doomed to extinction by an alleged rising tide of color, reportedly controlled and manipulated by British people. Because of its widespread popularity, white supremacists reference the slogan specifically in its full form, as well as in abbreviated versions such as the 14 words or the number 14. It is symbolic and is signaling to us what is to come. Now, from my standpoint, right, we can react, we can try and change the names, but what we know about fascists and extremists from progression is we can change the name of my title or what we're doing to something else. But if you look at Texas and Oklahoma and Florida, what they've done is started with some words, and more words get included in that. So you start out by saying diversity, equity, inclusion, then belonging gets pulled into that, then justice gets pulled into that, then you can't say anything about race, then it's a very slippery slope. And there's right now an article in The Atlantic that describes how Hitler dismantled democracy in 53 days in Germany. Germany was an early democracy, but in 53 days that was done. And what I will say is because we are a community college, and the mission of community colleges has always been to serve those who have been historically excluded from educational opportunity. We can turn away from these values and, kind of scrub what we're doing to appease a fascist regime. Or we can keep doing what we're doing and knowing that it's legally defensible under the civil rights law that currently is in active. And so I just want to hear from you all, like, where do we sit as a governing body of this organization? What is your individual tolerance or aversion? What will we do in the face of a potential OCR investigation? I also have other contacts that Linda McMahon, who is right now a nominee, but likely to be confirmed as the head of the Department of Education, has signaled, the ability to scale back and cancel the Department of Education. Well, the Department of Education is where OCR investigations arise. You're currently in an investigation about our softball fields and parity between softball and baseball. That investigation has been happening for 2 years. I can't get the lead investigator, Mark Clark, to respond to an email saying, hey, Mark, how are things going?
The investigation hasn't been happening.
Right.
It was open to, they have yet to come here and do an investigation.
So what I'm saying is, this is absolutely a fair question. We, from my standpoint, know who our community is and who our students are. I have preliminary information about a campus climate survey around DEI. I'm not able to share it just yet, but I will be sharing that, and the results are very positive from our community, that this work is very important to people. This work is critical to serving our community. This work is supported by the majority of our community members, internal, staff, and students. Our students gave pretty overwhelming feedback that we're doing a really good job on that. Of course, there's always the detractors and naysayers, but the majority of the feedback is very positive. And so we have a decision to make. I also want you to think about what is in a bond year to say, oh, we're walking away from this, or we're jumping full in. What is the response from potential voters? And so I just want you to sit with that, and maybe we can kind of go around another opportunity to discuss.
I don't know. It's so chilling and I shared with some of you with Washington D.C. But I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to be anywhere at this point. Frankly, John's little pep talk the other night that fired me up, and I thought, it's all right. It's okay. You can have values. But if you don't stand for them publicly, if you don't do something about it, then what is talking to you? So I've gone from being really depressed to very angry, and I'm not quite sure how to deal with that. But I've jokingly told you, he's coming to visit me when they take me to jail because I'm not taking out. This is Tanya. Yeah. So, well, you know,
That's been a long time since I secondary period.
I still got it.
Protest every month.
Well, we've seen it come down from the federal level, it's not a blanket across the whole United States, I mean, it's thrown over it, but each state has to figure out how they're gonna take care of themselves.
That's when I say, God, I was an
And what they can do, because, you know, everybody's not a copy of everybody else, so, I don't think that at some point it's gotta be, like you said, what, the word you used was, what did you say, everything was, like, yeah, legally defensible. So, I mean, that's gotta come into play to a point, you know, here and there, but in some places maybe not, because we have so much division in our country right now, you know, it's not gonna be one answer for everybody. And I don't know how that's gonna be fixed, but, yeah, I mean, I just don't think there's any easy answer until something is said or done, or not said or done, about where that, where that's going, you know? Because I just took it, maybe I just, you know, I know I'm not highly educated like you guys, but just listening to that was like, okay, be prepared, you know, look at your policies, look at your programs and what the name is and all that, but yet it's just executive order is not a law. So I'm thinking, well, how much money do we have to be preparing for something that may or may not happen? I mean, it just seems so open-ended, I guess, or unfinished, or there's no, they're just too open-ended to know what to do.
It takes me back to, when I first came back on the board, and it was right around time sort of explored it, and not really assimilated to personal engagement or public safety itself, the incident itself. And it also, I think, to start with our active vision and check off to our strategic planning. Led by that equity vision. And this is just a thought that we've heard the analysis of what we're doing, that everything we're doing is legally defensible, and that we're not going to scared off, intimidated by what's going on at the national level. You know, we don't have to say that, but to say that, you know, people may be concerned about Dr. Freeh's reputation for being, you know, inclusive. And I think we need to stand up for it and say, yes, that everything that we're doing is addressing inclusivity for all students, faculty, staff, citizens, etc. And it's all legally defensible. And so we really don't have anything to apologize for. We don't have to change our language. We don't have to.
So you're not hiring based on race?
Yeah, we're in good standing. We don't have to, you know, fix anything. And I think we just need to, I don't know, I need to make that statement.
I felt the whole time we were, the whole program was never based on hiring people. Because of race, it was just to track population
That doesn't,
and make sure that
the fact that it's legally defensible doesn't means we can win. It doesn't mean we won't get sued or have to go to court. So that's that risk factor. I have no idea. Because it's kind of a crazy thing. It's like I think about, okay, we had people upset that 2 names weren't going forward with a ranking for new hires. Instead, there were 3 names going forward without rankings for new hires. So, we know that, I mean, I'm okay with this, going to court or getting sued with accusation of race-based hiring because we're not doing it. You can be sued for anything, and that's just reality. We know that misinformation exists on social media. We know misinformation exists in traditional media sources. So, I'm not going to be here past June. So it's really easy for me to say, hell with them. We're sticking to what we're doing. But I still say, the hell with them. We're sticking to what we're doing. Because I believe it is the right thing.
Right.
And, you know, we cannot, I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead.
Something that might be helpful. So whatever comes out from the Department of Education or OCR is guidance for us, and so it's agency directives we have to follow, and it's between the agency and us. And so if somebody filed a complaint, they can't come and sue, let me phrase that. They could file the complaint, OCR would need to assess it based on our violation. So they would have needed to define exactly what we had violated, which hasn't been done. And then kind of depending on the nature of it, would determine, but all along OCR processes, there is an ability to settle also. So if there was some concern this was going somewhere, there's ample opportunity to take care of things before it escalated to being sued.
So what is the risk then? Is the risk losing the federal funding?
At this point, there's no risk because there's no law. I mean, that's it.
Okay, that's what, then why are we talking about our risk tolerance? I mean, that was how it was introduced, what's our risk tolerance? So I'm kind of confused now.
The risk is there has been an assertion that that could happen.
Okay.
So the risk is there has been a threat that that could happen.
Okay.
That's the risk. And so what's our tolerance to respond to that threat?
But that could, I mean, it doesn't matter what we do that could happen. I mean, I look at all the money that was promised under USAID to people and farmers and others and churches all over this country that was promised as a reimbursement and allocated by Congress that they're not getting now. So there's risk is there, period, no matter what we do. Yeah, screw them.
And keep in mind, there's both financial risk and there's reputational risk. So how our community sees us, right, is something we need to think about as well. And so it's multiple things, right? Because if we were to completely back away, I'm sure we would get backlash from our community saying, what are you guys doing? So. So financial, legal, reputation, kind of.
Do we know what other institutions are doing, meaning like any of the city councils, what type of statement has been issued? Because I also see this as an opportunity for Mount Hood to make a statement of influence within this area. I'm a little bit on the fence about it. More so, we have a lot of constituents that aren't progressive type thinking, and also have influenced a lot of things in the past for Mount Hood. My belief that they influenced a lot in Mount Hood's history. It's more so what are our constituents, I'm thinking of the Zons, So, and how a lot of, the non-progressive or, in the interest of community, I shall say, and for their own personal interests, will sway, our statement to be a form of, not being for American or patriotic, and those type of things. So I'm wondering, what has other institutions in this area has made statements, if they have any statements made, about, where their stances are? Like, has Wood Village made a statement? Has Troutdale made a statement?
This particular OCR, your college list,
Got it.
is for education. All education, K-12, higher education,
Got
it
it.
does not have to do with municipalities and governmental organizations outside of education. So they have not, not the case.
Got it.
However, University of Oregon has made a statement that's very non-controversial. We're going to continue doing this because we've never done these things, right? That's being pledged and pledged. But we don't necessarily have to make a statement. But what we do have to do within the bond campaign is educate our citizens and supporting that bond. Say, at Mount Hood, we advance the goals of all people.
Yeah.
And part of our work within food basic needs and the systems that we're creating is to advance equity and education and make sure that we are, living our mission, which is civic engagement, economic development, individual development. And part of us is if you're engaging with people and having those long conversations and DEI comes up, that you can, stand on it and say, yes, we've opened an equity community resource center, and all people in our community and our students can access that space, and it has food, and it has laptops and hotspots, and so learning about what we're actually doing to be able to, educate people if they're having questions about that. I think the challenge for using DEI as the boogeyman is elusive, and people don't know what that means.
Exactly.
Right? So we have to educate folks, just to allow them to engage with what it means for us as an institution. And when people say they don't like DEI, I'm going to ask you, so what part don't you like? Is it the diversity part? Because diversity is monoculture and discrimination, right? Is it the equity part? Oh, you like inequity? Tell me why. Oh, you don't like inclusion? The opposite of that is exclusion. Tell me why, right? That there's an opportunity to have a deeply engaging conversation, but also to educate people about what it means to use diversity and inclusion. We're creating spaces where people can feel a sense of belonging and welcoming, that we are trying to give people what they need from an equity perspective to be successful in our organization, that we're trying to create a multiracial, multi-dimensional organization where all people are represented. If that's bad, please tell me why. Because 14 words might be easier than answer.
You know, 14 months.
I'm like, you said it all.
Yeah.
And I can give you information about, who is accessing the Equity Community Resource Center. It is all of our students. It is not specific by race, it is not specific by gender, it's specific by students needing something and coming to that space and receiving so they can use stuff.
I will say though that when we first started talking about, the DEI and stuff, I just naturally took it as to, reach out to, as an outreach for those people to make them feel like, we're not prejudiced and you're welcome here. And in a sense, I never thought about it before, but in a sense, that does kind of make it sound like it's separated, but it's not meant to be separated. It's all people are welcome. But by pointing it out, it does make it sound like there is a separate, because I don't know if most students would think, you know, because well, they're not all US citizens, but because I am who I am, I'm automatically included. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? No. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, I have a hard time sometimes separating because of my family, I think. I have a very diverse family, and so I don't separate them. And so I just kind of, in my mind, I think no one should not come here because they're afraid they're not gonna be welcome. And so by the DEI program, I always look at it as a plus to accent that, no, everyone is welcome, you know, so don't feel that way, come. But in a sense, by just even that in itself indicates there could be or would be some separation between the diversity part of it and where, because I think some people coming from a foreign country or anywhere else, you know, that's outside this area that doesn't know this community, but then that would be normal if you're going anywhere. When my daughter went to Idaho for college, you know, I mean, she's never been around that many kids in her life, and I was nervous for her, but not because of she's Korean, it's because it's a different setting with all these people and getting her to feel comfortable. You know what I mean? I can't think of a reason why. If people are hesitant to come here, I just don't think that would be a reason. But when I started with all this and I was introduced to the DEI, I thought, oh, this is good because then people that might feel excluded will feel more included because we're advertising that every student feels welcome here. But if we didn't have that, would people hesitate to come, you think? I don't know. I mean, they've been around, schools been around for a long, long time. They're not thinking about what the Constitution says. They're thinking about where am I going to be comfortable.
I think of it more about outcomes, right? To me, DEI and efforts around DEI and policy integration of DEI is around achieving outcomes, and I think the strategic nature of the way that letter was structured was to create the fear that you're highlighting, is to say like, well, no, it is exclusionary, here's why. And so, right, well, and from the first paragraph to the end, it was very intentional. The wording and the structure is extremely intentional. And so there's a holistic strategy going on, and I think, one thing that strikes me within risk tolerance and then thinking about like our collective work is like, you know, it's kind of that feeling I had when we received the DEI award. It's like, well, yeah, so what? It's not what you're doing when things are going well, it's what you're doing when things are not going well, and you're facing adversity. And so I don't, this to me is not a time of fear, but this is a time for resolute behavior. And for us to be able to demonstrate that through our work. And so back to the notion of risk tolerance, is to be able to, there is nothing to balance the risk against right now because everything is like your colleague letter, right, and a presidential order, which is not grounded in law. And so, whether or not, so anyhow, to Tracy's point, I mean, I'm in agreement with what she shared and Annette and everyone else. I think we stay the course. And then tying it back to, I was thinking of Lisa's comments about accreditation for us and how we're already, like that's another institution that is requiring of us action and reporting on that data. So we have a lot of layers and we're unique, I think, as a region and as a state. Like if we were in Ohio, I'm sure we'd feel different. So, but regardless of what state we're in, I feel comfortable with where we're at and what we're doing.
And I want to honor what Trey asked about where the other colleges do. So we've been on calls every Wednesday with CCA, so all of the 17 community colleges, you know, all of the Oregon University and college presidents have been meeting as well. But really trying to hopefully move in one way. It's a lot harder to attack 17, 20, or many institutions than it is one. And so really having that one voice saying that we have Oregon state law on our side, which is a law that is enacted, We have, in WCCU, our accrediting body, on our side, that says we have to do certain things. We have a funding formula that speaks to diversity, equity, inclusion, and formally to excluding groups. We have a lot on our side, and to move as a body of people who support and represent these organizations, to move in one voice, is a lot stronger than, say, Klamath deciding to say one thing, to make UC deciding to say one thing, to really build some solidarity individually. And I think this is an opportune time to do that.
So how are those talks going, Tracy? Because I'm thinking, you just mentioned Klamath. I mean, different parts of the state think differently about these issues. Is it going well with the OCCA?
I haven't heard anybody say anything that I don't agree with. People talking about drinking. Yeah. It's always been that way.
So is that?
Everyone seems to be on the same page and also recognizing that we have the duty as community colleges and educators, right?
Right.
To do what's right.
Yeah.
To do what is the will of our institutions and the will of our communities. To support them as educational entities.
Right.
We can walk away from that, but what's the sustainability of our organization?
Right, yeah. I'm glad to hear that, because I was thinking as we were all talking, well, what if one community college goes here and one goes there, and then what are we looking at? So glad to hear that,
Talking about having a big community, right? Like,
Yes.
there are people in our community that are cheering this on.
Oh, yeah,
And
oh, yeah.
Iris and Hamilton and Klamath and
Yeah.
Ontario, right? There's
Right.
like even more conservative areas of the
Right,
state.
right, yeah.
Look, it's really encouraging to me to know that all of our college 2017, as well as the four-year institutions, are getting together and, taking it on. I think it's really important that we all stay.
I can add from the, Ben Cannon had called all the presidents together. It was a great conversation, kind of sharing of what people were saying and where they were, and everyone's pretty much, we're staying where, no, we're not doing anything wrong. But some of the good questions were, right, the what if, and, right, asking Ben to find out from the Secretary of State and getting some assurances that if one of us gets fined, right, or something happens, how's the state gonna step in? And while he couldn't speak for Rachel, who wasn't there, the sense was, right, we'll be there, and actually, we issued a number of lawsuits against some of the actions the state has. And so, it's good to know that we have not only a lot of support within our community, within the higher ed, and I would probably say the education area, and then our Secretary of State. So, what happens to one?
Right, yeah,
For
yeah.
the most part, we're all part of our professional liability is part of the statewide pool.
Oh,
So all of
yeah.
the community colleges, K-12, are all kind of in it together from a liability responsibility standpoint. When you start talking about potentially like financial levies, penalties, lawsuits.
Well, isn't the purpose of all these audits is to find out if anyone is fraudulently hiring people based on race or not? I mean, that's kind of the bottom line, isn't it, as far as...
The irony is that's been against the law.
Yeah.
Right, so if there was an audit today,
It wasn't done, yeah.
found something, it means we probably were doing it 6 months, I mean, that's the crazy thing. I know the Supreme Court decision narrowly focused on, there had been some, like Harvard, right, had some, as Tracy described, right, they were trying to build a specific cohort, so there were race-based admissions processes. But this kind of opening it up more generally, it's like, well, A, can you do that? But then what is that? Because the law is specific, it has to be making your decisions based on results.
Because why did he announce that without having any proof? But
They had to prove it.
I mean, why does he do anything?
Yeah.
Why does he say that last page administrator? Nothing based on truth.
Yeah, logic.
My overall, it's a rhetorical question, but my overall question is, since when has, cultural awareness has been illegal?
It's not.
That's what I was
We all believe it's simple. And we have in Oregon a responsibility. Like, that's part of our law, is for all of the community colleges and public universities to do culturally competent programming and training for all of our staff and for all positions. So, right, we have a lot to stand on. It would be, basically, if there was an OCR investigation, you would be on the defensive, but they would also have to specifically say what was the violation.
Exactly.
Right, and I think that's where the gray area is, because in a fascistic movement like we're in, they could just make up something, right?
Exactly.
But the likelihood that we would be able to, or need to defend against that is very slim, especially with what I said about OCR. We're still waiting.
And historically, the complaint driven. I mean, I know there's a few recent exceptions to that, but, I mean, so at any time, I mean, we, in HR, have had people complain about the hiring results. Like, I wasn't hired, you didn't hire me, and I was a veteran, whatever protected class, like, and we usually pull the documentation on it. It's never gone any further than that, but, I mean, that could happen anytime. Whether questions are done partially, like the Department of Ed, whether they'll be able to ask us to actually do anything.
Will there be enough people there to do anything?
If there is an app.
So, yeah.
I brought this book because I know there are folks who like books. This is, if you have not read Caste by Elizabeth Wilkerson, it really ties the connection of what we have in the United States as a racial caste to other castes in other societies. And it really helps to describe what we're seeing right now with the current administration, really trying to create a retrenchment of caste in our country. It's happening in other places. And it is an amazing book to help understand not only the pillars of caste, but how caste has existed in other societies and been advanced in societies, and then what we should be doing right now to address, to understand, and to push back, right? Because, of course, what we know right now is the income inequality in this country continues to explode. And the people right now who are making these decisions are all at the top of that financial caste, right? There's a financial caste and a racial caste that is growing in this country. And we need to understand these mechanisms to be able to have a coherent and cohesive caste.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that, because I think we talked about and read that book when we started our very first discussions about, right, for DEI and the equity lens that we were working on. So I have it. I'm going to reread it. I did,
I have it too. I was just wondering, has she done an updated version yet that you're aware? Because she wrote it, was it?
Right now called Origin, produced by Ava DuVernay, and it's based on the book, and it does have some more recent, information.
it sounds familiar to me, but I don't think I've seen Origin.
The book has not been updated as of yet. I'm guessing there might be a second part or maybe something else.
Oh, she wrote another book, that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
She wrote a Work with Other Sons.
Right, that was the first one, yeah. It's, I remember talking about that, you know, at what time is it, 2050? When the country shifts and we become a nation that is predominant with people of color. And that's what this is about, is that last panic of the white supremacists.
Look into it, read about it, read the Turner Diaries. If you want to know what this is, read Project 2029. It's written all in there. And so, like, I'm not surprised. I was trying to wave the red flag to people months ago, and people look at me like, are you crazy? It's coming, this is here now, what do we do, right? And how do we stand in the gap for our most vulnerable students, community members, staff members, to stand up?
Yeah.
And that's all for me.
Okay.
I'm gonna cry in my office.
No, don't do that.
It's not too early to drink.
Yeah.
So on this topic, 'cause I'm also, right, each of you are in kind of your place. Is there any information or data that you would like to know that we could provide? It's not that you have to, I just wanted to put that out there as, related to this, please let us know. She mentioned we have the food basic needs data, which shows, right?
I mean, I think our dashboard tells the story,
Well,
right?
then,
It shows the inequalities that exist. It shows the graduation rate disparity. I mean, it shows all of it. But yeah, I mean, thank you. And the employee data, I mean, that like, when we sit in our board meetings and we hear whatever, the unions and like all the things, it's like, anyhow.
Yeah, but good to know, because I don't think, I mean, in all of our being out in the community so far, we haven't had any pushback on this at all, but there could be some. And it's good to know that there's data that can help us out when we're talking out there in the community. Yeah.
I would say too, for those of you who are going off board, it would be really critical for you to be engaged in the community and thinking about who will be your legacy. Because, right, there, I mean, in 2016, the Tea Party was putting out white papers on how to take over school boards.
Yeah.
And how to, you know, wiggle their way into places of power where they would be able to have the ability to say, oh, we're not doing DEI anymore, oh, we're not doing X, Y, and Z anymore, we're not supporting that program for minority students anymore. So I would say, like, if you're not already thinking about it, planning for that and strategizing about that, and doing great work. I heard.
Oh, you heard Shatoya found somebody to run for Marie's seat that, you filed yet?
Monday,
All right.
Monday.
Oh.
I was talking to, Brian York. I mean, I didn't talk to Brian, but you were talking about Brian York. And she said, I didn't remember who you said you were,
Oh, Will Miller?
you guys know him?
I know of him, I've
Yeah.
been in meetings with him, he's, lives in the community, he is Native American, he's grown up here his whole life, and he works for Native American Youth Association, what else?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's moving, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you were thinking.
Oh, he's
Brian-
a Mount Hood alumni.
yeah,
He used to be a part of our student government when he was here, so.
Yeah.
sounds like an ideal candidate.
Brian York is, a good friend, and he's very active in Gresham Chamber.
Yeah.
He works at Clackamas County Bank and family and marketing.
Yeah.
And he's born in.
I am nobody in my area yet. I'm completely within David Douglas, it's a little small physical area that I've yet to find a good map of. Because it doesn't, the maps don't have actual streets on them. They don't have streets on them. I mean, I'm within,
Trying to figure out your
I know, I'm within my boundary like by 2 blocks.
Yeah.
And you can only see it because of the odd shape of 122nd as it crosses Johnson Creek and goes up. And as it goes up, that's not my district, that's Dana's. Yeah.
And we're figuring it out, because I don't live that far from Annette,
Yeah.
so.
She's in my district.
Yeah.
It's my district.
Yeah. Well, if Larry Morgan ever gets back to me, I
Ann is not.
know what he, but we have two
She's
more.
not up for the,
I know, I'll call it.
yeah. I'm sorry, has your person you were talking?
No, I said if Larry Morgan ever gets back to me about what he's gonna do, that would
We
be
both
helpful.
talked to him, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And I've called him, I'll call him again, it's been a couple weeks. But if he decides not to, we have 2 other people in mind that would be good.
But,
I know,
There's not more in the map.
Tracy, what are the 14 words? Could you?
14 words are as follows.
Sorry, I missed this part, guys.
Yeah.
Can they come up?
Learned about this the first time.
Secure the existence of our people and a future for white children.
Mm.
And it's called 14 words?
14 words.
Yeah.
Is that actually 14 words? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't have to. I was looking up.
That's a good question, yeah.
I think I learned about it the first time, yeah.
Secure the existence of our people and a future for white children.
It's been,
And they said that on February 14th, is that date?
Your calling letter was sent out on the 14th.
Oh, okay.
Donald Trump has said repeatedly he wants to get rid of the 14th Amendment, which allows for, people, who are born here in the United States, citizens, who are birthright citizens, that's the 14th Amendment.
Right.
Pam Bondi said yesterday, that she had, issued, since her, appointment to the position of Attorney General, issued 14 executive orders that she can't.
Yeah, she can't do, she can't do that.
The number 14 keeps coming up. Elon Musk has tweeted it, he tweeted 14 flags. We are,
It's a signal for these 14 words.
for
Yeah,
Got it.
the 14 words.
yeah.
movements to see that they are aligned, this is an alignment.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth, the new, the leader of the Department of Defense, has 14 tattoos on him, as well as 88, which is also a significant number, 88, the 8th letter of the alphabet is H. 88 is a symbol that white supremacists use for Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
And
So we are in, I'm just trying to explain to you that I'm not crazy. We are in a situation that people really need to be opening their eyes to and preparing for now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was last year, it was the Pillow guy, I think, was doing a lot of like the stuff with the 1488 and a bunch of his stuff.
Pillow guy?
The Pillow guy yeah, My Pillow guy.
No, My Pillow.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
back Trump in 2020 and when ended up going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Minnesota pillow salesperson, yeah.
Tracy, what, again, was the statement that the University of Oregon had? What
Yeah, so the University of Oregon, Oregon State was actually the first one to come out.
Oh,
And
okay.
they just basically said, we are following law.
Yeah.
We have always followed law, and we will continue to follow the law.
Yep, good.
Just kind of a cut and dry. 'cause
Yeah.
And I might have said we've looked into it, but and then
Yeah.
also write an affirmation to, talking about the value of, and they didn't say DEI, but speaking to, the learning environment and actually, I can pull it up, because I'm not gonna do it justice.
So, previously, when we talked about, these type of things, I mentioned how the first time he was in office, I was a student, and a lot of these things have come up then. There was a lot of symbols, there was a lot of hate crimes in Portland, but it was whole Oregon. And I've also, my capstone, but basically my senior project, was about the racial history of Oregon. So
Yeah.
we broke down every single culture and how they've been discriminated, how they were killed, all of that. And so I also had nonviolent training at that time. It was a lot at PSU's campus due to a lot of the hate crimes on campus. So a lot of these things, like the numbers, the symbols, they are literally emphasized it would be to a point that they would probably try to drive on our campus. So I think, something around safety, around, the importance of, the board supporting or like supporting students in a culture that is for, not just for all students, but for students who will most likely not feel as safe as they once did. It might be a statement of, yes, we've followed the law before, we're gonna continue, but it's literally a attack on the culture and the environment in order for our students to feel safe to learn. Because I know how I felt when I was a student the first time, and it sounds like it's a lot worse, and it can get a lot worse when I was a student. So just raising that concern again, because I know how I felt, I know how I feel now, very similar, if not worse.
I think
Yeah.
Dr. Garza
Yes.
had something on MLK Day that was really about, I know a lot of people are worried, we're gonna do what we have to do to protect our own students and staff. And I think it was reassuring, I worry about, you know, the nature of a Trump administration is to
Incite
fire
fear.
safety, right? And so I don't know that we should send out statements every time we are we have presented to our faces.
Yeah.
But to reiterate in different ways, like, hey, this is our commitment to our community, this is our commitment to this work, this is what we're doing, to reiterate that.
Mhm.
And, you know, with this survey, at some point when it is fully assessed and evaluated, I plan to share that out broadly, with our student leaders, with, staff and other leaders in the college to reassure folks that, no, we're on the right track, that this work is important and appreciated and going in the right direction, and we don't plan to stop that.
Yeah.
So so Oregon State, their message says, university believes all of its programs and curricula are fully compliant with all state and federal laws. The university does not make decisions based on race, color, or national origin in admissions, hiring, promotion, compensation, housing, discipline, financial aid. And again, that was the areas in the letter. They then go on to state, the university's mission is broadly inclusive and acknowledges the importance of valuing and integrating diverse lived experiences, perspectives, and viewpoints in all that we do. Further, it recognizes that the university's pursuit of excellence depends on continually working to remove barriers and create opportunities for access and success for all. Portland State came out and said that they exist to advance social mobility and serve all learners. Lewis and Clark came out, they were a little bit more vague and just said, anticipated the number of legal challenges may be brought regarding the announcement, which has been the case with attempted changes. It's impossible to know when those challenges will be resolved and what the outcome of those challenges is.
Sounds like it was put up at your white attorney.
Yeah.
I know, right? Pure biscuit versus attorney.
Publicly displays their commitment statements to diversity and anti-racism on their website. But their statement was that readers reviewing the February 14th Dear Colleague letter. The college has not lost any federal funding based on the criteria.
Do you feel like we should or have done enough, know your rights types of training? Should we be?
We are.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a couple coming up, they're gonna be online.
Yeah.
We wanna make sure that people feel protected and safe.
Right.
And we're not widely advertising, because we also don't want bad actors to be able to do link and do lobbying.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we just had training for our staff, about learning about Oregon's sanctuary promise, how to engage with that, what's our responsibility. So we are sharing that information broadly, and multiple languages as well.
And
Trying to do what we can.
have our employees requested, or do we feel the need to share, I mean, anything in regard to our response, to our lack of response, or up yours on this one, on the letter?
Did you say or up yours?
Yes, this one.
So I think, so I'm gonna go back to when the executive orders came out.
Yes.
And I think the first one, because we were all shocked and people kind of freaked out, we sent out one message. Oh, that was when the funding was.
Yeah.
That's right. Sorry, there's been too many, I had to remember. So that one, because we actually had some instances where people couldn't get into school funding portals. We sent a message out there. When that got resolved, we sent out another message. But some of the feedback I got was maybe, right, don't send a message every time something happens, because it creates stress.
Okay.
So now we're kind of taking the presence of, with emails, when there's something to share, we will share.
Okay.
During all campus updates, we will continue to let people know what we know. Most of us don't know. And then Jennifer helped bring in that training from Oregon.
We had 120 people online. It was better attended than our all top updates. And across, I mean, we said it was manager managed, but I was scrolling through. There was, and from all walks, but Head Start, we had faculty there. It was really good to see. And it wasn't just like the areas that I expected, our ABE, ESL instructors, I totally expected them, but there was just a really wide variety, and it was really great to see. And it was a good training. She talked, and then she left people with the resources of where they can get the same thing that she's gone over, because all of their stuff is actually on their website as well. And then a list of questions, most of which she, as our attorney, deferred to, but I wrote them down so that we can get legal counsel.
Is there a time we can ask if, the bargaining went okay?
If the what?
How bargaining.
Bargaining went?
The mediation, I mean, yesterday, weren't they?
Mediation yesterday.
We should do that in executive session, so we have to call one of those.
Not over.
I would just say we continue.
Okay, that's.
I think,
What we know.
I think Lisa would have messaged us if it was
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
I think, one thing that's striking me is in experiencing Charter Commission with City of Portland, and then thinking about how progressive Portland calls itself, and then when we were doing that work, we were a highly diverse body of 20 people from age group, ethnicity, socioeconomic, and what we experienced during that time by the Portland elite through the very back channels was a ton of resistance. And it's just this is all a grander scale, but it's just that in a different angle. And so none of this is surprising, and quite honestly, for anyone who's not white, it's not
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit hard for me when people are losing their marbles because they've never experienced it. When there's a whole set of people who are not white that experience it. So, and never not experienced it. I mean, right, I'm not born here, but I'm adopted, and then I was adopted by white parents, brought here into a system that was never made for me, ever. And so, anyhow, I think that's really important context in this time for all of us to think about. And then, I've been working on the bond campaign heavily and diving into that head first, which is not really that fun. But I think controlling what we can control and engaging where we can engage, because I think people are just they're out sharing their outrage to the internet, I guess, but not really doing anything. And I think that we are privileged to be on this work together and to be able to do something that can impact a lot of lives. So that to me feels like the inspiration of our work and our influence that we have.
Thank you. well
Sure.
said. It's just the reality.
Well, yeah, it's like, I don't know, there's nothing, I don't think it's very novel, either. Like, this isn't I don't know, I'm always interested by older boomers that have experienced, like, through their teens and twenties, like, the civil rights movement. But then, it's like, they've forgotten that, 'cause they're all so enraged now, and I'm like, well, but this is not new work.
No.
Continue to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a film the other day about JFK's statements, in order to civil rights, but when he was talking about the outcomes of, as he put it, a white boy in America he said Negro boy, it was the terminology of the time, and how those outcomes differed, and how wrong that was. And he called it out in the 60s. It hasn't changed. But people are acting like the new discussion of the last few years is not a new discussion. Maybe they felt like as a society we actually took a step, and now that step is getting like slammed back, big time.
And it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, extreme
Yeah.
backlash.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah.
I'm thinking of the breakfast speaker we had,
Oh,
ACC.
OCCA?
No,
Or-
at the breakfast, the last day.
Those,
that
I
talked-
missed,
Oh,
I missed
Oh.
that guy.
oh.
Utah.
From Utah.
I missed it.
Yeah, oh.
Well,
Well, you could call it that. But in the end, he ended up going after California. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing here? This is,
what did it was like, he claimed that like he said 60% of the black boys in California can't read.
yeah, are uneducated.
This is-
I think it was higher
He
than
was,
that.
is the speaker
I
was,
remember that.
Yeah.
Because we had-
The black boys in California can't read or write.
we had California.
And this is when you get a state in chaos. And there was a young man from California sitting at our table, and he's like, that is not true. Yeah,
It was discouraging, I think, too, because he was a man of color. He was
yes,
black, a former NFL football player from Utah.
yeah.
And he had all the, what?
Everyone.
All manners.
It was all manners. Yeah. You have to
That
be
one's wrong.
disciplined.
He had all
Martin.
talking points down.
Yeah, Martin Luther King and people that
Oh, they wore.
suit and tie,
Yeah.
It's a little shocking, yeah. Anyway, okay, thank you.
Like you're inclusive.
Lost control.
It's like the women that oppose feminism, right?
I grew up in Newburgh, Quaker town.
Oh.
We had one black girl in town that went to George Fox College when it opened, and we all said, there she is.
Yeah.
As a kid. It's like, okay, I didn't.
Well, Marie,
But then I lived in San Diego, in the military, and
Oh, really?
where'd you grow up?
I mean, there wasn't that
Oh, in
many-
Newburgh.
Sandy wasn't
Well,
much
hey.
better in the 90s.
I grew up in Yam Hill, so you can imagine. We had no.
Okay, I had Anna down.
Okay, we're gonna-
Minnesota. Come on.
We're gonna take a break here for about 15 minutes. Is that okay? Or
No,
shorten it?
yeah,
Nobody wants a break? What time is it?
I was gonna
We're ahead
say
of,
about,
It's not always pretty.
oh, yeah.
And,
It's just,
and I can't
we met in executive,
been around.
Well, I think,
Right.
yeah. Right.
Oh, sure. And then,
Oh, I thought you said 2:00, so I was thinking.
oh, yeah, but if I can do gold, then I could.
Yep.
And then that should be enough.
Okay. Okay. Oh, Marie is. Oh, gosh.
How are you doing that? Are you
Oh.
recovering well?
I'm recovering.
There was a congressman from Georgia,
not normal,
outskirts of,
I've been watching TV all day.
Atlanta, and he
I've
had a town hall in one of his little bit, he's in a red district, but
Right.
a little bit more, young demographic
Uh-huh.
area, and they were like, when one woman got up and asked a question, what are you gonna do? And then everyone was like yelling at him and things, and then he was
Yeah, the incubation period.
belligerent back to them
Like the
Uh-huh.
plane ride.
and then they were just doing follow-up to commentators about that, repeat.
At least no.
It's interesting to see, like,
It is
people's
interesting.
reaction,
I
and,
know.
like,
Yep. They're getting cranky.
Jeff, but it's so much.
They thought
He has no feet to bring. He's just achy, whiny.
Oh, Marie, you're back already. Okay.
When they're
Yeah. Okay, here we go. We're gonna change around the order on this agenda a little bit, because, Lisa all got to make at some point. So, do we wanna go over your goals or update? Okay.
So I think I was trying to remember my goal update for currently or thinking about next year, because, my monthly report, share with you guys the goal update, so unless there's any questions on that, I'm kind of feeling like we should be good there.
Okay.
So then that moves us into kind of what I'm thinking about next year, and it's interesting, right? So for the last 6 years, I've known what's coming next, right? It's like budget, and then budget, like accreditation, or it's strategic plan, right? All those things. And so usually coming up with my goals, I'm like, okay, right, no problem. I literally for the last week and a half, I'm like, what are my goals gonna be? Because
bond implementation.
That's right. That's right.
But the reality is, I won't do a lot of that.
I know.
So it was just a interesting moment where I had to like pause and like rethink and like, okay, so what's the next wave of things? And the first one that came to mind that I don't know if I want to put it as a goal, but I'm anticipating there's going to be some navigating, how we operate within national context. And I'm not sure I want to make that a goal, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. I think there's some things that we're just going to be figuring out. I think funding is going to change, good or bad. I mean, the one thing I heard is McMahon actually supports short-term Pell, which is positive. Then I'm thinking, okay, so Department of Ed goes away. I mean, I know we'll still have financial aid. What does that all look like? But anyway, it will be something, if you guys would like that to be a focus and something I'm updating you on, written comments and whatnot, I'm happy to, but that's kind of my life. So then the meteor thing, there's kind of 3 areas I'm thinking of. The first is around building a comprehensive funding plan. I haven't decided if I want to do a 5-year funding plan or what, but some of it, Jennifer does a great job with budget. So it's not that, but it's also really private philanthropy fit into this. Also, is there a way for us to talk about funding in a way that's better understood by our representative groups? Because I feel like every time we have funding conversations or negotiations, right, there's this disconnect about how expenses and revenues and where that comes. So within that comprehensive plan, the idea was trying to get better clarity there, but then also talk about where we're going to get these other sources of funding. Because the reality is we can't rely just on state and federal funding. And I don't know what's going to happen with grants. So that was one idea. thoughts, questions, ideas?
Did you mean that part of that is the pursuit of alternative grants outside, like philanthropy type?
Not outside of philanthropy, but we have our budget, but we also have needs. And so coming up with the plan for 5 years, part of that's going to be private philanthropy. So like working with the foundation around strategic planning and what they may be doing. Also, at some point, this board should have a conversation around, we have some property. What do we want to do with that property? Do we want to sell it, which I don't advise, but right, do we want to do a long-term lease, which would create a revenue stream? That would be another piece of this. So that's when I'm saying comprehensive. It's looking at kind of all those other things that could be revenue generating for us.
I think that's smart.
Yeah.
You have to have financial sustainability. I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
And I know
Yeah.
sometimes people ask about the property. We haven't gotten that question, which,
As soon as they keep saying it to me, and I'm like, we need to get through the bond first.
yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, even when we're out in the community, that talking about the bond, said, why don't you sell the property? But, yeah, so, but I think also we do, need to understand what we want to use that property for. I mean, I wouldn't be in favor of selling the property, but that's my opinion, but, yeah, but what are our needs? What do we need it? And do we look at a revenue source? That doesn't include selling it, but, yeah.
And we wouldn't need to necessarily come up with the exact, but having the conversation
Yeah.
around, here are different options. Which ones
Yeah.
does the board want to see further exploration? Because I would want us to really spend some time thinking through cost-benefit analysis, opportunity, right, that whole bit, before we actually pull the trigger on something. We need to also have a plan for understanding what we're doing.
I like the idea that, being transparent with our, bargaining organization, because, the other night, everybody left after they,
Yeah.
made all their points. Right when Jennifer was doing the budget presentation, I was like, wish somebody had stayed behind so they could see, the reality that we're dealing with.
Right.
I almost said that at the end, but then I was like, it's probably not smart.
I did say that, I said this, did they know all?
Oh,
And Jennifer
yeah.
said, oh, yeah, they know. Sorry, I
No, no.
brought that up.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, and just so you're aware too, the message I sent out to campus that was somebody's, public comments, I just laid out, I said, because it was actually having to do with the funding freezes and everyone was panicked, and I said, I just want to take an opportunity to lay out where we are. And just kind of high level said, revenues are a little under our expenses, but here's 3 things you can do, right? We're in budget season, so don't do no requests, look where you can reallocate your resources. Advocate, because we have a legislative session and the amount of money we get is determined by the legislature, and you have a voice. And then the other was, look for if there's things you aren't doing anymore, let's call that out and recapture that money so it can be used in other places. And so it wasn't, we're not giving the classified raises or anything.
We have enough money for this, but not for that.
Yeah. And they said, well, unless there's an option 3, I'm like, I can tell you an option.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll build out some components of what that would look like under the 3-year, like in developing that plan, some actionable steps so you guys have a tactics, there we go. So the second one, which is kind of related to the bond, I feel like there's been a lot of work on strengthening the relationship with our community. And I just need to say how cool it is. I can go out and I can be talking and I can say every single one of my board members is out here advocating for this. So it's not one or two, but there is united support around this, which Clackamas couldn't say. I had other colleagues where their boards weren't unanimous in wanting to go out for it. So, so it's not only that you voted, but you're also doing the action. So thank you. And when we're successful, the last thing I want to do is lose that opportunity and have the community think that we showed up, we got the bond passed, and then we left.
Yeah.
So I want to build out and strengthen the relationships, but again, how can my office be intentional around maintaining what we've already done and continue to foster opportunities for growth in other areas that I think for some of our service providing organizations, we have opportunity there to strengthen and do that. So that sounds.
Oh, yeah.
And I think for the three of us are here plus Dana, I think like we'll have to prioritize with the board moving forward goals as like continuing that community engagement and
Yes.
continue those touch points with that coincide with that goal. To me, that's how I think about it.
Yeah, or maybe when you speak to the new folks, when you have their one-on-ones, like congratulating them on the board, maybe say, you know, we've been doing this type of engagement. The board is going to encourage you to participate to continue that momentum.
Yeah.
And I think it's a choice time too when we're talking to people who are running, just saying, it's an expectation of this board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out representing your constituents
Yeah.
and hearing from them.
Well, I think also because that's what we heard before we really started getting intentional about community. We never come out to the community unless you mean something. And
Yeah.
so we felt that, yeah, okay, let's get out there and so they know what we're doing here.
And we're on our 5th year doing that, and we're still
Yeah.
hearing that we
Yeah,
don't
we
get
don't
out
get
enough.
Well, we'll probably always hear it, no matter how many years we're out there, but yeah.
And then part of the strategy, the other thing that's new is I've been forceful around expectations of President's Cabinet to be out going to things, and I'm going to continue that. And I know that there's some that like it more than others. So we can have our superintendents and feel the ones that are important, or still not somehow connected. But maintaining that, so it's not like when the bond's over, we don't go to chamber of meetings.
Right.
And it's actually kind of fun, because they're now bringing stuff back too, which I think. Then the third one, and this is kind of kicking off now, but I think it'll great opportunity for expanding, is supporting regional economic development. Yesterday, we hosted a convening of superintendents, city managers, service providers, and business around the semiconductor industry, and we're talking about how do we create an ecosystem in East County to support these industries. And in semiconductors, but right, the same skill set is used for advanced manufacturing. And the cool thing is the college is kind of uniquely positioned to bring everyone together as a neutral partner. And it went really well. So I'm thinking now, how do we expand that into potential other areas and use that mechanism to, again, bring people together? Because I think you do it better when everyone's in the same room and has connections, as opposed to city managers meeting with business, higher ed people here, two do not connect. So I'd like to play around with that space a little.
Yeah. I think that's what East Metro Economic Alliance used
No,
to do
man,
when we.
Diane.
Well, at one time.
What was this?
At one time. Yeah, it was the, yeah. It is indeed.
We made a valiant effort to try something, and then it just went right on its face.
Yeah.
Well, and related to this, I don't know if it'll get approval, but, one of the three subcommittees in OPC is around fostering workforce and economic development. And so myself and another president are working on trying to do a statewide program gap analysis, similar to what we did when we did the CTE program revitalization, doing it for the state to show where are the jobs, where is that being produced, and where are the gaps, and using that as a state legislative ask to get funding to fill those gaps.
One thing to that point, Lisa, that I think I've shared with you, that I talked with Ray Young about for Troutdale in the context of the property, is I said, you know, show us what the zoning is of that property, and then we can have like a mutual discussion with Metro, the city, and the college, and then, of course, he never did anything.
Light industrial.
And, well, what I was asking him to further ask for Metro is, and then anyone in his city that's doing that land use work, is what are the options for rezoning, and what would that runway look like with Metro? So within that topic of a regional economic analysis, to me, I've talked with some folks at Metro, like, you need to know what available greenfield property there is, how it's zoned, and then what the opportunities are within that discussion of economic development. Is that, that sounds like something the city managers could take on.
Yes.
Or is that part of the?
Yes, and there's, part of that has been mapped with some work that the port is helping to kind of convene, and so
With
I think.
Emily?
Yeah, so I think we have the properties or the big
Yeah, okay.
But
I mean,
yeah,
I know there's not a lot left, but it's just, within what we do have, what could be micro industry, or micro scale industry traction too? I don't know if that's part of the discussion or not, but.
not yet, right? I think that's the,
I think we're famous for cutting ourselves off at the knees in East County.
Yeah.
Yes?
another,
We could build
another huge.
we need Honda to have a fulfillment center
Yeah.
on a net, like, because we have, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and produce all those jobs.
Yeah, 100 jobs,
Yeah.
yeah, from moving boxes around.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So those are my three thoughts.
Well, Ray Young always thought this property is good for housing, so how's light industrial? That doesn't fit into that code.
We probably have to change it.
Yeah, but,
I mean, that,
Industrial's different than it used to be.
But,
Oh, Diane made a comment about light industrial, but light industrial's different than it used to be. Not stacks anymore.
right, oh, right, yeah,
Who knows?
yeah.
okay, well, I'll build these out a little bit more and, at a subsequent work session, or send it out to you, and we can have more conversations about the tactics and see if that works.
Mm-hmm.
You sound good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, then do you want to move on to the iPad?
Yeah.
Or you?
So each of you, this is, I didn't mean to scare you, but one of the things in the board self-evaluation that rated low was something around seeing federal reports or access to federal reports or something. So I wanted to take the opportunity to share this with you and give you a little context around what this says, but what it doesn't say. So this is federal reporting that's done consistently across the board for all higher ed. And the key thing to remember is this is based on first-time, full-time students.
Okay.
So when we have 77% of our students who are part-time, our student data represents about a quarter of our students. So, don't make generalizations around this data to apply to our whole institution. That said, it does compare us, it identifies peer institutions and this is by IPEDS, and we're never really quite sure on the page 2, see who they kind of benchmarked us against. And so when you see the results of us related to peer institutions, this is the group.
Okay.
I'm glad you gave that clarification about being, reflecting the first-time full-time students, because I read through the whole thing. Our dashboard data.
Right. So really, yeah, that's a good point. If you want to look at our student data, go to our dashboards. But be aware that this is what the feds will report for us.
And that's one of the, I think we've heard in other forums and from you, right? That's the consistent issue with IPEDS data that's raised, right? We've talked about that, right? Yeah, okay.
So we're doing better in some areas, worse in others. Again, it's 25% of our students. I don't put it on a weight. I will point out on page 10, this gets a bit into operations. So it does kind of show how we compare with our peers on revenue, on expenses, number of full-time staff. I would like to kind of point this one out because when you look at management, right, and they say we have so many managers, we're kind of below our peers. So,
And that's from the dean level up, right?
So this is where it's weird. Yes, there's a cutoff for managers in some areas, but you'll see the other category. Instructional, wait a second. Instructional support occupations, some of the managers are in there. But your deans, your senior administrators are in your management, and all your business office and student development management are in management. So it's
And for instruction, is that meaning that they just, those peer institutions were graded, benchmarked against, have like larger, enrollment than us? And so, or,
they kind of do the benchmarking kind of consistently, so you can compare. So yeah, I mean, this does show, say, instruction, fewer, FTE.
so they presumably even have lower class sizes than, or?
Well, here's the interesting thing. We have a lot of faculty who do extra teach and extra teach. So where other places may not have as liberal policies on how much you can teach, that can also drive our number down.
And that's you, bargaining driven, partially, right?
Yeah. And again, it's a snapshot in time. So please let me know if you have any specific questions or something in the data seems weird.
Okay.
There's likely a response to it. But most importantly, I wanted you to know that this is it, you have a copy. Take it for what it's worth.
And there might not be enough people left here, so we might not get another iPad.
Or it'll be done by AI, so, right?
There you go, yeah.
Lisa, what's some of the, because I'm remembering like at the NLS, we had that presentation by the researcher who was looking about the recovery. I don't know if it was at one of the lunches, but was showing the recovery trajectory of community colleges, and he was using iPad data. And I'm just curious within like, if we're thinking about our state footprint and OCCA, and to be able to tell a different story, like I don't know, we're in session and it strikes me we tell the same story every year, or every cycle. But I was just wondering, like, how do we leverage the story in a more holistic picture? I mean, I know we're doing it from our own data and dashboard, but then, like, with your goals discussion and thinking about, like, going after other sources of revenue, like, how do we tell that story better? And then one step further, like with your OPC work, like, how do we get a better state picture so that we're not just falling into the iPad data that gets rolled up like those presentations we get at ACCT?
Yeah.
Like,
I think the challenge is, right, there's a desire for some sort of standardized reporting. So that's what iPad does, is it doesn't look at the uniqueness of the institution, it just makes sure that the data is rolled up in a consistent manner. So it can't tell the whole story. And I would even say in the state, for most of the colleges, you could look at rolled up data and tell the story. For us, it's a little different. And part of that is because we have a significantly larger ESL population. We have 6,000, and we have a higher percentage of CTE. So we are better off telling our own individual story within the economic development because our bread and butter is not transfer. So it's more work for us, but it also, I think, sets us apart from the CTE. So it's kind of that stance.
okay.
But my feeling is that economic development piece is going to become increasingly more important, especially as dollars are tied at the state, and we can say, hey, you give us $1, we give you $1.60 back. So, right, this is an investment in growth. But yeah, now we were clapping for Lynn Benton. But I think that's also why we recovered sooner than others, because of that,
Yeah.
what we do.
Okay, questions around this?
That's interesting.
And feel free, right, if you
Yeah.
can't sleep and you pull it up and, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I meant to ask you a question.
Excuse me, I will be
Okay.
back hopefully shortly.
Okay. Have a good phone call.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Okay, so, let's go back to the bond and tax.
Oh.
Is that you,
My
Andrew?
time?
It's your time.
Let's see, so I'm kind of giving you a debrief on Wednesday of where we're at a higher level, but I think, over the last 2 weeks, right, we've been able to hire the campaign manager and get her on board. We have another person working kind of part-time who's, someone that Jennifer B. worked with, previously, who's retiring. So we've got, like, kind of, between me and them, we've got 3 staff kind of doing functional work. We're getting things organized, and you should have gotten emails from Claire Colmer. And I think we're now, as we head into next week, so next week we have the kickoff event that you should have gotten emails about also, on Thursday evening. We're asking that the board, this Board of Education, come at 5:30, and then we're going to have, so we're gonna have, the core bond folks, which is about 6 or so, plus staff, and then Board of Education gather, and Jeremy Wright, our political consultant, right, is going to give us kind of a little bit longer presentation about the campaign strategy and the budget and piecing that together. And then we're going to do any Q&A and then have a little time for us just to socialize before the larger group gets there around 6:30. Then about 6:45, we'll do a small program, kind of welcome and introduce everyone. Dan Molinaris and I will kind of welcome, and Claire and Cecilia is the name of the person volunteering halftime. We'll kind of do staff introductions. Jeremy will do an abridged version of like, hey, here's the campaign, where we're going, what our needs are. Lisa will speak briefly, and then we'll kind of do an ask around, hey, these are areas of volunteer engagement that we need, money, and, you know, here's how you can plug in. So, and then we'll just do a mixer and have some food there and stuff as well. Where we're at timing-wise, so I believe it's March 20th, but I'm just telling everyone March 15th because I know people will procrastinate otherwise. On March 20th, we have to file the voters pamphlet pages. So we file the voter statement, right, like as if we do for our candidate when we run, but then we can file other endorsement pages that we pay extra for because it's a political measure or a campaign measure. And so the importance of that ties back to endorsements and getting the forms that I got from you all on Wednesday signed. We need to get those signed by kind of any and everybody that we can get touch points with. And so my practical ask to you all right now is to get anyone who has any kind of community engagement, name in the community, to please just get them to sign option 1 on that same form. And I will follow up and have Claire send out an email to this group.
That we could print.
Yeah, and I've got a few copies with me, just so I can share some if you want. But if you can just leave the top blank like I did with you all, leave the top blank that's asking for the measure number and date, and just have them sign option 1, and that gives us the flexibility to like categorize them into like, you know, community members, nonprofit leaders, faculty and staff. So we just need those coming into us. If you can scan them and then email them to us, to Claire and myself and Cecilia, that's a big practical need right now. And then the step 2 of the need is dollars coming in the door. We have close to $100,000, but Lisa and I have talked about, like, we need to get to, like, over 200, just with, like, the mailer engagement and that piece of the budget. And referencing back to Jeremy's, right, talking about the polling results and those kind of empty heads he talked about, like, people that are undecided or who our target audience is, and the frequency that we'll need to engage those people with mailers and other communications. So I'll stop there, and then if there's any questions or comments or just thoughts, and then I can, you know, either take feedback and do action stuff too.
200,000 sounds pretty reasonable. I was thinking it was more like 3, so.
I mean, I would say 3 is my stretch goal. 250 feels like doable, but we also haven't gotten anything, we've gotten like 3 donations in past what the foundation's contribution is by way of the president's allocation. So we've not gotten a lot of donations in, is my point.
I'm on the endorsement, so I'm a little confused, because, I had been told before, for some of those that are maybe a little more difficult physically to get, especially right now, because I'm not going out anywhere but here. For example, I was asked about, Clackamas County Commissioner Martha Schrader. I had thought I was supposed to get the agreement from her for an endorsement, and then the campaign was gonna send somebody out to take care of it. And like, I was thinking about reaching out to, former state senator Bill Kennemer too, who's widely respected in Clackamas County and in the Damascus area and stuff that I know. I mean, can I
think either way is fine. Just circling back to
Okay.
Claire, and then the thing that I think I was telling this to Diane earlier this week, to get people to sign something, scan it, and send an email, that feels like you're asking them to like,
Oh, I know.
mountain.
Yeah.
I know, you've got to make it easy for them.
So I don't know how to, like, the easiest way for me is literally to carry this this folder with printed copies and be like, can you please sign this?
I've had,
And if they give you money, great, but if they don't,
Yeah.
that's okay, you still want the endorsement, right?
I mean,
Right.
well, in terms of like, hierarchy of needs is endorsements, and then money. Like, because we have the deadline to get the endorsements in the door for the voters pamphlet, which is really important.
By March 25th, or by March 20th?
No, I mean, I need them by March 15th, because we need time to, categorize them and then get the pages drafted up.
For the voters.
For the voters.
Right, yeah.
I've never asked anybody to sign one that didn't have like a measure number or something on it. That's,
Well, so the measure number is being filed, is my understanding, but it
Okay.
could take another week or 2 to get the number. So as soon as we have the number, I'll type that in
Okay.
and put it, and we can just print it off and have it already pre-done. But, I also don't wanna
okay,
waste days between the next week or so.
okay.
So, like when we were talking in DC, I would like to send out a postcard
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. So I can take information from this and create one, and then I just send it to you to approve or tell me if I need to change something before I actually mail it out.
yeah,
Or,
that would be great if you had like a starting point. We've got a few things that we've like put together that, I could send you if you, I was thinking about having Cecilia help with that, because she's got a good way about structuring some of that stuff. And then, we've got the logo now done. We've got, a similar card to that done for the PAC, for the campaign. So double-sided with, the specific information. So I can get that to you in electronic form, and then we'll be printing copies, and we'll have those ready for next Thursday also.
yeah, because I mean, I can condense this and turn it into a 6x9 or 4x6 postcard.
Yeah.
Branded as, like you said,
Yeah.
trying to get the word out. Okay.
And then we have the website. It was supposed to go live last night, so it should be live now, and I forget the URL. I think it's yesformhcc.com, I think.
Yeah, because we should put that on all of our propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, this has just been an exercise of patience for me. because I would have liked the website done 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't see, so Claire and I will follow up on once we get the website. It's not coming up when I do the search, but is there any questions and then any, like, I think more is better, so one thing on endorsements and getting the form signed, we just need them in, because when we file, we have to file these signed forms with the voters pamphlet. So if we get an extra 20 that we don't end up using, maybe we use them on the website, but we can sift through that. So if you're like, hey, I don't know if this person's like really that well known, but is still a good, maybe from your perspective, a good endorser, just get them to sign it, and then we can sort through it and ask questions to follow up.
That's something that would be easy to do in the email, is, you know how you do a big group email, but you have to put it in BCC?
Yeah.
People don't want their addresses up there, so it's an attachment with the endorsement form.
Yeah, I mean, however you want to get it out, we've been doing that same email style for like the local electeds, the city councils and
Well,
stuff.
I know it comes up better when you send it out, if the flyer or whatever is in the body of the email, so somebody doesn't have to click on an attachment. But you could put on there that the endorsement form is attached, but I know if they open the email and they see it, you get a lot better response.
Traffic.
People don't take the time to, you know, from years of marketing doing that, if you say, oh, see the attached flyer for blah, 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 they skip right through it. But when they open the email and this is in the body, it's a lot better.
That's a good, yeah. Yeah,
And you can just paste it in and then just you can put in several email addresses.
right, okay. Yeah, that's a
And
good,
you can copy and paste it, you have it in the Excel spreadsheet. Copy and paste it, does it all at once.
Oh, yeah, and the BCC. The BCC email?
Yeah, and if you do BCC, then you can put in multiple.
Multiple,
emails,
yeah.
And then.
That is offline for me.
Mm-hmm.
When Danny first started, he sent one in the regular, you know, he got so much backlash. Oh, I forgot to tell you, put it in the BCC. They don't want their email out to everybody.
Yeah.
but, I think where we're at is just trying to get some organization stuff and then engagement and getting the ask out to say like, please do this. And I know we're probably like 2.5 weeks behind where we ought to be, but it's just the reality where we're at. So, we've sent out about, I think, 100 or so invites for next Thursday, for that event. You know, I'm hoping if we got like north of 35 or to 50, I would feel ecstatic. So we'll see, but if you have other people that you're like, oh, you know, please get it out between now and then.
Is there gonna be any social media presence that we could share? Because I'm thinking there's some people I could send invitations to via social media, but I don't have their email addresses, so.
Mm-hmm.
So we've not yet like gotten social media underway. So I don't have like a pre-populate, or I don't have a
On the Facebook page.
yeah, I don't have like something to just copy and paste in.
Or something we could just share.
About that, she shares everything, and she could get something going to everybody. If she had something to post.
Yeah,
I'm not a Facebook person, though.
I'm not like but I think you can do that right on like Canva or something, just create like a picture, and then you just take that and paste it in to a post, right, like, or Instagram. Okay, yeah, I'll think.
Andrew,
Yes,
Carolyn said this online, and she said she just checked on the bond website, she provided the HTTPS // yes for NCTC.com.
Oh, it is
And it came
up?
up for her?
Oh, I have, all of them.
Oh,
She just said I have.
oh, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
yes4mhtc.com.
Oh, sweet. Thank you, Marilyn. Yeah, I remember someone said that it was HTTPS.
Oh.
Should we ask individual school board members, or is it a
They should have gotten an invitation with the bulk emailing we sent out, but yeah, if you know them and just like say, hey, you might have got this, but if not, yeah, that's great.
okay?
But, in terms of like timing and strategy, I think, prioritizing endorsements through, end of March. Also, secondary to that is prioritizing fundraising. And then as we go past end of March, we'll transition right to more community engagements, right? So that will likely start to shift more to the campaign and like Claire organizing events, and we'll get those on a calendar. And then we'll slowly move into like the partnerships with like East County Rising and working on field campaign work as we get closer into, I don't know, probably April, mid-April. And then I guess, Marilyn, I believe we have some emails out to you. I don't mean to talk to you through the meeting, but I believe Claire Colmer has sent you an email or two, and we were just looking for your personal email. So if we could get that, because I have been connecting with John for the full-time, but have been wanting to connect with you also for part-time. So if you wouldn't mind looking up those emails and replying back to Claire and I, that'd be great. But I've been working to get to the full-time faculty so that we can present there, and they're also working on their endorsement process. So, they're another touch point that we're working on as well.
Yeah.
Do you know
Oh, Mary.
Annette,
I can't,
State Central Committee,
Do you mind bringing her in?
Democrat?
yeah. Oh, it's okay, you can bring her in. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Oh, good. I heard from, Marcia
Hi, Marilyn.
Twitter that you had applied.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was telling me she was really happy about that, yeah.
Yeah, she wrote me a
Andrew, I
note.
just
there.
wanted to respond to your comment.
Yeah.
I haven't received any emails, and I can certainly provide my personal email, but I haven't received that broader email that it sounds like you've indicated has been sent out. So I'd be happy.
I know, I was-
Yeah, and I thought we had sent one to your college email, but I didn't know if you had gotten it. If you wouldn't mind just emailing me at my personal, it's spearaj@gmail,
that was-
and then I can get, and then if you
Actually,
send that from your personal, and then I can
I
include,
thought it would be like,
connect us all with Claire and Cecilia and myself, and we can then set up time to connect more directly with you. That'd be great.
I can do that. You bet.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
congratulations.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions or thoughts,
Thank you too.
Too, that Jennifer B. is doing.
oh, right.
That's not campaign.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
She was, well, yeah.
You might see on your Facebook that, Jennifer B. is running a informational, it's not about the campaign, but I love CC, that they're doing. And everyone's invited to hop in with their I Love MHCC story.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, if they can't, somebody else can't do it, then you can
But I don't have anything else if there's no other
Okay.
questions or.
participate in second.
Okay, any other questions? Next, Thursday,
Sign-up sheets for like helping out with giving or donations, endorsements, and then community engagement, like attending events or sitting at tables, and then,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of the universe.
Next Thursday?
Yeah.
yeah. And eventually door to door. We'll be going door to door and do things too.
It's gonna cost me 2 pizzas, garlic rolls, and root beer to get 2 girls to come and watch Dan and Olivia's kids for something.
Just put it on their tab.
Okay, anything else on the bond? Any other questions or thoughts or, yeah,
If you have any ideas or
Yeah.
want to, just have a question or like, how do I do this, what do I do? Please just get a hold of me, however, text, email.
yeah. And both Claire and,
Yeah, and Claire and Cecilia
will be
there
there.
to help too.
Yeah,
Idea, one question, but as a board member, we can.
You can do and say and donate
Yeah, donate.
anything you need to say.
actually,
I'll make sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and so
No,
now the link is up, you can
Yeah,
get
just
in
talk
there.
about it.
Yeah, donate,
Yeah,
yeah. And actually, it's helpful if the board members donate something. It doesn't have to be a big amount, but it is helpful to say, yes, all of our board members have donated.
Bond Foundation, Bond.
Yeah,
I mean,
both
So what's the easiest way to donate?
on the link.
on on that link, yeah, on
Yeah.
that link, there's a donate, so if you go to up here, it'll take you to there, and there's a donate.
Oh, okay,
So
the
that,
link is Friends of,
no, it's HTTPS, // yes4mhcc.com.
I just looked at it, it looks good. Got everything, three categories.
If you I think.
Okay,
so you have to do the HTTP.
Yeah,
You can
We'll
actually
take a
just
minute.
type in yes4mhcc.com and it'll pull it up.
it did come up for you, it wasn't coming
I'm
up.
up on my
for
phone.
us.
I don't know why.
Oh, I did, yeah, oh, you know what?
What?
Oh, that's, never mind.
But we can do, yes for MHCC, or do you have to put in the other?
Oh, it did come up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, oh, okay, I'll try it.
Not thick like that anymore.
Okay.
I'll tell you my secrets after we're not recorded. I'll tell you my secrets.
I did.
We're not recorded.
Oh. Or no.
Tell me, I didn't understand my hearing aid.
Yes. Okay, but
The guy that
generating.
put in the question is Will
Oh,
Jim.
Miller.
Oh, no, I couldn't hear that.
I was gonna,
No, I'll do that later. Okay,
I could also,
oh, we need that and Roxanne back.
I could FaceTime you on Monday when I'm with him. Los
Oh, that's
Flowers.
cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna meet him around 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this is my first time, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I really wanna connect you
Oh,
guys.
perfect. Yeah, that's good, 2 o'clock. I'll
So
put that
he
on my
can get
calendar.
a better understanding of what the landscape is in your district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it come up?
Did you talk
I don't know why.
to Clackamas again?
Yeah, both.
Okay, I'll
Yeah, and we'll,
I'll see if there's a,
because I can stuff on the mountain.
because it feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it didn't come up for Diane, but it came up for me the second time, it's just, and,
Yeah, it didn't come up for me either, but that's fine. I'll do it when I get it.
Yeah, because I
I
had
have a
to
doctor
do
appointment at
both.
4:30, but.
Okay, Jeanette is back. We will do candidate update, which we kind of
Oh, yeah,
getting to the end.
because we
I'll send it to you.
Oh, thank you.
lunch with them, but if I could FaceTime you during that, that would be great.
Sure.
16 for 3 weeks.
Yeah, like he's leaving that Tuesday, back to March 10th.
Oh, thank you.
And so I was like, we gotta get this on Monday.
Okay. Okay, that works.
Sandra Spear notification.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
work on
Okay, under other business, okay. Well, we kind of done candidate update, but we'll do that. Okay, as soon as Annette gets back, we'll keep going. We're doing good.
And, Lisa was saying that you're going to something, what is that?
We're going to
thing?
Cascade.
So, where, that Diane was going to, that the legislators would be at?
Oh,
Ricky Ruiz and, yeah, Zach Hudson and Chris Rosa.
I printed out, you wanna, would you get theirs?
If we want them.
Yeah, here.
They're not in very good
Oh, there you
standing
go.
with the, folks out in our neighborhood overall.
Okay. I'm, like, for next week, yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to ask, for next week, I forgot one thing in that. For next week, we're kind of, right, trying to get all the things together. If you could commit to bring some wine, like,
Oh, sure.
Thursday?
yeah,
Sure.
Some wine?
yeah, like,
White.
Whatever,
I know.
pink,
White
white.
or rosé?
Just
I have
white.
red.
Oh, okay, white or rosé?
Do people that love wine, no color wine? I don't know. And then if board members could bring that, and then, you know, the pack we'll have some food there, but, a little bit of collaboration on the wine would be helpful.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so, we are at candidate update, which we've kind of done some of that, but if we have more to add to candidate update, I assume we're talking about people for running for our positions? Is that what we're talking? Okay. Well, we kind of talked about that, but we can go back over it again. Larry Morgan still hasn't gotten to.
Larry, the target for,
I got derailed from everything.
Yeah, I've already asked him, so, but he hasn't answered, so, he wanted a weekend to think about it, and that was 2 weeks ago, but I know he's down as a lot for the city of Gresham.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I had asked,
Our district.
Brian York to think,
I'm like,
Where does she live?
Yeah,
but he,
I guess she lives
right,
in
right.
the district now.
yeah, but I haven't, told him, because he's in South.
Yeah.
Marie?
For Marie, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And there's
Put
another
her on
person,
Facebook.
Sandy, that would really be a good, person for the board,
Because I was like, I have a question.
but,
She went here, yay, in OSU.
Okay,
and I think that she probably would be ready in 2 years.
Okay.
She used to be on
okay.
advertising
See that, Diane?
pictures. Here.
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
Her and Will film a lot of the
That's
pictures,
funny.
the
Deborah
advertisement.
Schmidt. She's, from, originally from California. She worked in the California Community College system for years and years and years. So it's from Modesto, from the Central Valley. And she really, you know, when she found out that, I had a community college, you know, role, she's joined our Rotary Club, so, yeah.
Cool. Is she in Sandy?
Yeah,
Oh, so she, like in 2 years, like when your time is up? Like-
yeah, yeah. I don't think she's ready now. Hopefully Brian is, but if Brian is not, I'm gonna ask Pam.
Yeah,
Would you?
I mean, no, I can do
yeah.
to running for.
That's a part of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so anything else on Canada's update? So as soon as Andrew gets.
Who was the one that they were talking about, the native?
Will Miller.
Burnett?
Will Miller. Will Miller for Annette seat.
Zone 2.
Oh, Miller. Isn't he
He's a
a graduate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's the student body president?
yeah,
Oh, I know Will.
yeah.
You know everybody.
Well, he was student body president, but I was on the board the first time.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh,
So I know.
great.
I was just
You
saying.
endorsed him then, yeah.
Yeah, I was saying he was on a lot of Mount Hood's, photos, around the campus.
Oh,
Yeah.
great, great.
Oh, good.
Okay, well, we're moving on to other business. So do we have other business for today? Lisa has something here.
I have one item, and I apologize that I don't have all the details, but it's not my fault, because I've been asking, and
So
I'm
she's got an opponent.
But as you will recall, we are one of 3 finalists for the Exemplary Award CEO Relationship through the American Association of Community Colleges.
Yes.
This will be awarded at their national conference in Nashville, April 12th through the 16th. I know that the night of the 15th is when they'll do the announcing of the award winners. So at a minimum, I wanted to find out, because I don't think there's any other time that they're doing any recognition of the finalists.
Okay.
But I'm still waiting. Like I said, I didn't even find out about this until Tim Cook sent me a link to a newspaper article that announced us. So, and I'm asking for clarification. But wanted to see who might be interested in going to Nashville. We would fly you in Tuesday, fly you home Thursday. And the dinner is Wednesday.
So 14th to.
Sorry, back up.
15th. Yeah.
The 15th, so we'd fly you in, I've got my dates wrong, don't I?
Tuesday, April the 15th. Yes.
Yes, so
Yeah.
that's when it is.
That's the banquet. So the 14th we would
Yeah, so
go
we fly
and
you
then come
in
back the next
14th,
day.
fly you home the 16th.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
Monday through
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
No,
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, right.
Not Monday?
And.
Fly you in Monday, banquet on Tuesday night, fly you home Wednesday.
Okay, so come in on Monday, the 14th, and fly home on 17th?
On the 16th.
16th, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I need you
How
guys,
many are you needing to go?
huh?
How many are you needing to go?
Since you guys are named in this award, I'm not gonna say a certain number. I mean, this award is inclusive of you, and so I think what we need to find out is who can 100% commit to go, so we can start making reservations and airfare. What we don't wanna do is, if you're iffy, please hold off, because if we make it, we can lose it, and then that's what we want to try. But
Yeah.
you can take a look, and you're definitely in.
Right now, the days are open.
Okay.
So, you have a board meeting on,
Well, I was getting there, I was trying to.
sorry,
So that's number one. Number two is if there's more than 3 people going, we have a board meeting Wednesday, the 16th, we're supposed to fly home. Which could be problematic if we got, and I don't even know what the flights are, right? But we could have a situation where, I'm not here and there's not a quorum to do business.
Right.
Then the question would be the ability to possibly move the board meeting to the following week, April 23rd, which is also when we have the TSCC bond hearing.
Oh,
For the bond, oh, for the bond,
Yeah.
that's what Diana
third?
wants to go
That would,
to. Yeah.
the TSC thing, but is
And what
it
we
here or no? It's here? Oh, okay. Could we do, well, we could do them both, couldn't we, in the same night, or?
We
No?
could. One thing we could do if we decided to move it, we could look at either starting earlier or
Yeah,
or paring down the agenda too, so we have fewer things, so that it doesn't turn into a super long night, but, the hearing would be done by 7:30, so we could technically do a board meeting from 7:30 to 9 if needed. I think we do,
we do, but.
let me double,
meeting
I just had that moment of, I know there's a timeline when we have to have the budget
Yeah.
approved, so let me double check that date with
Mhm.
Jennifer, sorry. Too many moving parts.
Have the meeting on the 23rd.
Maybe, if,
Can't make one.
yeah.
Some of that's dependent too on how many folks go.
Mhm. Okay.
When do we need, I mean, just as ASAP on replying to Roxanne?
If, I'm hoping I hear something in the next couple days, but if, I will commit to getting something out to you on Tuesday with right, if I've gotten any more information, I'll share it, but if we could shoot for next Wednesday to have your yes or no, decision.
Okay,
Okay. For a decision back on
for the
going.
April. Mhm. Yeah, okay. Oh, great, okay. Well, I'm a yes, if that helps you. But I'll reply to the email too.
And I realize it's hard to, it gets disruptive, but,
Yeah. But what a great honor, yeah, so it'll be fun. Mhm.
one of 3 in the country, guys.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Be exciting, yeah.
And I just need to say, so there was a nomination submitted a year ago, and there were only 3 chosen, and we were not listed. So, it's not like they only had 3 people and they took whoever applied.
right.
Ah,
And I'll send you guys the materials. I think one of the coolest things is we had 3 letters of support, one from Mayor Stovall, one from Abby Lee at OCCA, and one from Dan Molinaric. And just, you don't always know how much people out in the community appreciate the work you do or what they think, and so, I'll share those with you. Having a bad day, it's kind of nice to read.
Okay, any other business?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that next Wednesday, I won't be able to attend the hall bond meeting with the students, that's next Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
26th?
yes,
Yes.
I
The-
don't think you can do Zoom.
uh,
Yeah, so I won't be able to make it, and then, and I'm also supposed to do that, bond presentation to somebody, but I don't know who.
Wednesday night,
Yeah,
that is me and,
Me, I think.
was it just,
yeah.
was it just me and you, or
No, me, I think.
will you be able to still go?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was having everybody on Thursday, but it's Wednesday morning.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So, and that one's at that place, we did it last time, where the Reynolds one at the little, building
Yeah, that's-
on Halsey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we,
I'll see you Monday night.
yeah,
At
at Cascade Locks. Uh-huh. And that's City Hall, I'm thinking, right? The Cascade Locks
Yep, City Hall.
at 7, and we need to be there before that. Okay. And will you have stuff to bring there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the script, thank you for doing
Yes, yeah.
It's so nice.
and I have I have Reynolds School District next Wednesday and Park Rose on Monday.
Correct.
And who's going to both of those with me?
I'm doing Reynolds with you on Wednesday.
Okay.
Park Rose you're doing with Annette?
I think so. When is that?
Or there's no,
Hold on, I can tell you. Annette and Andrew and Jennifer B.
Oh,
are
okay.
doing Park Rose.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Marie's doing Reynolds? I don't need to do
No,
Reynolds.
let me see,
Oh.
hold on.
Marie's doing
She's doing,
Cascade Locks. Okay.
sorry, and then, Reynolds is, oh, you weren't on Wednesday night. You're fine. It's Andrew and I and Diane at Reynolds.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You, Diane?
Where's Park Rose?
Oh, Oregon Trail, we haven't been invited to yet.
And how, was
What's
there
going
another
on with
one?
Oregon Trail?
Was there another one that had my name on it?
Yeah, you went, oh, the Oregon Trail, the school district, you mean?
They haven't got that.
There's a Centennial.
We don't get any respect, and we have a board member.
They put their bond on hold.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Because they're pulling stuff?
They're putting their bond on.
What's the date for, Centennial? The 12th. Who's on that?
They're not happy.
Okay.
What day is that again? 12.
Don't we have Corbett?
Corporate, that was Wednesday night when we had a board meeting, John and
Oh.
out there, so they're done.
Oh,
Andrew, do you have to top of your head when we're doing Park Rose? I don't,
What's that?
do you know when we're doing Park Rose?
February 24th.
Oh, gosh, okay.
Yeah,
I did not have that down.
Yeah.
Yes, I did, I just had so many other things on the calendar, I couldn't. Okay.
With the Aaron's okay.
Okay, so we all set for our presentations? and
I
our-
think so. And then next Thursday morning, Andrew and I are presenting to the Gresham Chamber Board.
Yes.
Oh, this is the board.
And then Friday morning, Jeremy and I are presenting to the foundation board. And that's here in Town and
Town
Gown?
and Gown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the foundation is here in this board room?
No,
Or, sorry, I
foundation's
mean
in
the
Chamber.
chamber. This is how,
No, tell me about it.
I hear ya, this is.
Life is right now.
I do have to say too, when we had our core bond meeting on Wednesday, and we were running through everyone we already met, Jeremy made a comment of, something to the effect of, wow, you guys have really been active out there. So, for what it's worth, that's recognized.
Yeah.
We have, and I still feel behind the gun.
Yeah.
We'll
I
feel
know.
behind the gun until May 19th, at which point we'll say, what else?
Well,
It's all going to Salem on the 5th.
I'm not.
You guys are?
Not the honorable Diane.
No.
The
No?
15th,
Honorable Diane McKeel's not.
Are you guys staying overnight? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not, you're not staying overnight, but I'm going for the day.
Okay, you'll be down the 5th, but not.
You coming back for the legislature?
I'm not staying the night, because I just can't stay and stay for one night.
I'll probably stay for the dinner or whatever after, because the traffic will be better after that.
Okay, but then you're not gonna be there on Thursday to meet with legislators?
Right.
Okay, and are you gonna be there on Thursday? Okay.
I'll be each time.
Okay.
You are, and we're going to.
Annette, are you going Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, did I not say? But, yeah, but I don't think that you have to
He's
register.
not spending the night.
That you're driving home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Annette said that she's
You're,
on Thursday too.
Yeah, I'm staying over, yep.
We'll have to wrap up
Don't-
before I leave.
Don't let me talk too much, I'm too pissed.
Okay, all right. Any other business for the good of the order today? Well, yep, Lisa's got something.
more business.
More places to be.
81 days. Oh, no, sorry. I'm ahead of myself.
Isn't it?
Not 81. We are 8 days.
Okay.
Okay.
That feels better. That's, yeah.
Yes, 7
Oh, no,
more days.
88.
Yeah.
Oh.
87 days.
Say that 88 number.
Okay, any other business for the good of the order? Speak now, or my gavel's going down. We're adjourned. It was a good retreat, yeah. And we're done early, better, right?